It is episode 33 of the All About Counter-Strike podcast, and we're back once again with another episode. The major is right around the corner. Hong Kong has just finished. We got a lot to cover in a short amount of time because my electric could go at any point. Obviously, I do live in Ukraine, and with Russia bombing the hell out of us, Devilwalk has been waiting for me to have electric again and internet. It's back up for a few hours. If it dies, this episode might be just cut short and filmed later. I don't know how this is going to go, but it is the 20th of November, mate. It is 1:44 for me, which means it's 12:44 for you in Sweden. How you doing, man?
A little bit rocky. I got sick after doing the Swedish Cup. And yeah, I'm just trying to recover as much as possible. So I'm a little bit low on energy, throat is a little bit sore. So yeah, I'm trying to. I normally don't take pills. Normally don't do anything like medicinal to help shit. But this time I've been chugging pills. I've been
Yep.
taking cough medicine. I've been constantly eating these kinds of. I have them here somewhere. Like
Good
strepsils,
organization.
like
Yeah, yeah, I
I
get
don't
you.
know where
I get
everything
you.
is. I have honey over here. Drinking hot water with honey constantly.
Was there a crowd for that Sweden Cup you did? Because you were analyst with
Yeah,
Get Right. Okay, so
exactly.
you had a crowd for it as well. What's the turnout like for like a local Swedish ring?
This turnout, I don't know exactly how many people, but there was like a couple hundred.
Okay, that's good. That's
So
good.
it was pretty loud in the arena. Um, it was a great event overall. Couple of tech issues in the beginning, but as normal with the smaller events.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was a blast to do, especially me and Get Right. We did Swedish Cup in like 2 years ago,
Okay.
so we I got invited back to it, and we did it, and it was a blast. And honestly, probably a good kind of warm up for me as well, heading into a major to do a little
Yeah.
bit of a smaller LAN event to start off.
Wrong language though.
Um, Wrong language, but there's still key elements that you apply when doing those kinds of desk.
This means though that we expecting at the major some Swedish wisdom words, some of your craziness to come out. You should be well prepared for this.
Yeah, I
I'm
will.
I'm, I'm looking forward to it. I hope we're going to get it. So who
It's
went on
gonna
to
be
win that
fun.
event? What happened at that event? Anything too interesting?
So Eyeballers was the favorite to
Yep.
start.
Because they run Red Bull giveaway, right?
Yeah, exactly. But
Yep.
the big favorites were Alliance, Eyeballers, and then you kind of had the other two, which like a third and fourth team in predictions would be Matty Sports and Johnny
Mm-hmm.
Steeds. And Eyeballers kind of disappointed in the groups. They lost and came second place in group. So they would
Okay.
go on Alliance's side on the bracket. So there was kind of what everyone expected to be the final in the
Mm-hmm.
semifinal. Everyone was super hyped about it. And I think Alliance won like 13-2, 13-3 or something like that. Two
Oh.
maps just absolutely destroyed them. There was
Okay.
zero chance for Eyeballers, and Alliance then eventually came up against Metasports in the final, which obviously was a really, really new team. They
Yep.
obviously have a Serbian player named Dragon who joined the squad with Knock in the past like 20-ish days. They did reasonably well, they did really well considering they've been a team for just a few weeks.
Yeah, to make it to the
So
final and stuff.
yeah, but
Okay.
it was kind of expected to have a little bit more tighter games than there were. The group stage was probably more tight than the actual playoff, so that was a bit disappointing. But overall, Alliance played great. They looked great, super disciplined. Yeah, and it was enjoyable to watch some Swedish CS again.
Well, hopefully Swedish CS continues to be on the rise. We've been keeping an eye on it through mail and other players, right, and seeing what they can do. But at least the cups are going well internally. It's not just a one-sided affair. You know, the scoreline might have been that way. The fact that it was not Eyeball, not the favorite doing it, does make it more interesting. Maybe
Yeah,
we'll get one of them at the major eventually. Maybe that can be a possibility to happen. Um, for me, you know, I'll tell you this: Hong Kong is so far away, bro. Like traveling back from China. is a lot easier because normally I go Shanghai, right? I've only been to Shanghai and China ever before this. And I went Shanghai to like London is like 11-hour flight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not too hard at all. Then I'm in Europe and I easily can travel back home and get to Ukraine. Dude, it was 14 hours from Hong Kong to Frankfurt. Then I waited 2 hours for my next plane from Frankfurt to Vienna. And then I waited 3 hours from Vienna to Kosice in Slovakia. Like the total travel day from when I left the hotel, I think it was like 27 or 28 hours. And then if you factor in, I have to go across the Ukrainian border as well and wait with the cars and then get across because obviously there's no planes to Ukraine because of the war. It was it was a crazy journey. Like I underestimated how bad that would be. But a positive of being in China for 2 weeks is that I am kind of sat now in like it gets to 11 o'clock at night and I start falling asleep, like literally falling asleep mid watching a TV show or anything. Like I just die, and then I've been waking up pretty early, so my schedule's pretty good.
Oh,
Yeah, that's not bad at all. And look, I
not
got
bad
new
at all.
glasses. I bought these glasses in China. Yeah,
Hmm.
and very different to what I had before because I used to have these thicker, like the thicker framed ones. I'll just
Yeah.
say this: China is number one at having all the fucking
China number one.
really good stuff, like quality. These are titanium frames because I'm very good at breaking things, right? So I wanted to get some strong frames. They use I don't know if people know it. Anyone who has glasses might. The glass itself is Zweiss. It obviously gets made in China, so they just get it directly. These glasses were ready for me in like 3 days and it costs $260 if I remember correctly.
Oh, wow.
And it's like a million. So to think I actually have now better lens of the actual glass itself than what I had in my old glasses. But my old glasses cost me like 700 euros.
Yeah,
So
glasses are so freaking expensive.
not if you go to China. This was a win. The only thing is like this frame is obviously not some like I'm not wearing Armani or some crazy. I don't care about that, right? The fact it's just made of titanium and they're so strong but also lightweight. I'm I'm happy, and also it no longer digs into the side of my head, so my head is a normal shape.
Oh, nice.
So I'm happy right now. I'm not happy with the fact we don't have much electric or much internet, so that does mean we should continue on with the show. We'll start by looking at everything that is Blast Rivals. What we're doing on this show is because obviously there's some other things that are going to come up. We're going to talk about what we're doing for the major. We're going to talk about Starladder having a lot of drama at the moment around co-streaming sponsors. There's a bit of news on Exist contract, PGL cancelling another event, VP coach, Cadian, then Q&A. So it's going to be a quicker episode, as we love to, as we
Sweet and
love to
short,
say.
approximately 3 hours.
Oh, dude, it's even our short episodes are never short, but it will be a classic, all about Counter-Strike short episode by all means of what we have. So I want to start with looking at Hong Kong and
Yep.
say that Hong Kong was incredible. It's a lot hotter than the rest of where we were. Like when we were in Chengdu, when we were in Shanghai, the temperature was kind of like lower, not cold, but just reasonable. Hong Kong's humid, hot. There's mountain areas around it. Obviously, I've never been to Hong Kong. The crowd was ridiculously good. Like the crowd for this event was one of the best this year. And it was only 10,000 on Saturday and I think 11,000 on Sunday. So sold out on Sunday. But the energy, just the reactions, like people who went to Chengdu said that this was a better crowd than Chengdu. And obviously, I would have expected that it would be maybe more people in China, like Chengdu itself being super hype and focused. But what it is about Hong Kong is that I met fans from Taiwan, Japan. The guy I spoke to from Japan had great English, and I was like, "Okay, dude, you got to tell me. We don't see Japanese Counter Strike players. Like, how popular is it?" And he says, "We don't really have players like top level, obviously, but like they have players. They have a community. They have a lot of people that watch the game. They have their own way of like looking at the game." But
Yeah.
they follow on HLTV and stuff. They normally watch the English broadcasts as well. So, like, they very much knew of the English talent in that side. It was really awesome for me to see that this was like almost a hub for Asia because all the different places of Asia can get like China just go across a border. Yeah. There's so many cities that are close to it. Shenzhen's one of them, which is like a huge population as well. Let me have a look.
But is Hong
Shenzhen
Kong, correct me if I'm
population.
wrong here,
Mhm.
is English the main speaking language in Hong Kong?
Well,
Or is that just because
it's kind of
every person
strange.
I meet from Hong Kong or
Mhm.
something, they're really good at English. Like there's no problem with it at all.
Yeah, so this is it. it's like their English is really good. It's only the old taxi drivers I met who don't have good English. All the young people do. I would say that the main language is Cantonese. Yeah. So
Yeah,
they don't speak Mandarin, but they do speak Mandarin. So I'll tell a lie. They speak Mandarin, but like their official language is Cantonese. And then
okay,
Mandarin is obviously the official language for Chinese, but it's all dialects and stuff like that. And obviously, now in this modern world, there's all the politics around Hong Kong, China, and whatever else has to be said with it, because the British people had it for a while. We also did some fucking colonizing, of course, because you know what the UK is like. But
yeah,
it seems that there is a lot of people who are mainland Chinese, as they call it, living in Hong Kong, because that was a lot of our audience. But then also, there was a big group of Hong Kong people, like local Hong Kong, and then all these other places from around Asia traveled. I didn't meet any Korean people, but obviously I didn't meet everyone. But I mean, no Korean person came up to me, so that was the one I was missing. But like, I met Thailand fans, Taiwan, um, Japan, like I said. So like, it felt very international. There were some Russian people that came over as well. Some people that were living in
all right.
Thailand. And I met one guy. I forget his name. I think his name was Bogdan or something. I'm just throwing out a generic name at this point. But either way, he was there with his girlfriend. He flew over from Thailand. He's been living in Thailand. I met some Ukrainians there as well. So
Oh,
again,
sick.
they're displaced because of the war. They're living out in Asia because it's cheap. He was telling me about the prices of things out where he was living. I was like, okay, so like it was less English speaking than Singapore because that was like really English speaking. Singapore is like complete
Yeah, but
English.
that English is their main language there, right?
Yes, yeah, 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 exactly. So like it's just completely well spoken English. Here was a
Yeah,
little bit less, but I had zero problems getting around anywhere. And I just loved it because it was definitely like a global Asian event.
yeah.
Obviously the Mongols didn't make it to the arena, so I didn't personally see any Mongolian fans. Maybe there was some there. Um, but overall, Hong Kong impressed. I would love if we can go back there again. It seems like the government were very happy with what was being done there because obviously it was like a government supported event as well, which we like to see. These things are always helpful. Um, but
But
let's
it
get on to
seemed
some of the
really
Counter
good.
Strike.
It seemed really good. Like even from watching replays, I was at the Swedish Cup when this was happening, and obviously
Yeah,
it was in the middle of the night. Some of the games, but I tried to watch the final, which was the most important one, when I
yep,
got home, and the crowd was absolutely insane. You could see it, you could feel it. Even me watching from a replay, I'll tell you that it is one of the first times that when you watch something live and you're like,
yeah,
how is this going to end up? It was the first time I've felt that watching a replay. That's how good the final was for me. But we'll
yeah.
get more into that.
Let's go down our predictions, right? Because our predictions
Yep.
were nothing too crazy, nothing wild, and what results we got wrong or right. So the opening games was Mongols versus Passion. We both said Mongols. We are both stupid. Passion came back after that 4 week break. Passion got the win. You did say that in this game was the most likely that you thought there could be an upset, right?
Yeah.
And there was an upset. So Passion got that win over Mongols. Mongols, even though they did very well at Chengdu, didn't show up then. So we both wrong. Spirit versus Falcons. We both said Falcons. Spirit still struggle against Falcons. It's 9-0 right now for Munacy and Nico going up against Spirit. Pain versus Furia. Pain did very well to challenge Furia, um, but it didn't stop him. So Furia still got the win. Vitality Tai Lu. We'll
And
come on
by
to
the
this
way,
game.
on the Furia Pain one, you did mention that I
Pain would
think
get a
you even
map.
said
I
2-1.
said, yeah, I said Pain would get a map, definitely. I
Yeah.
just knew it in a derby. This isn't like I'm being super big brain, something tactical. I just knew Fury had just won an event. They're coming up against a rival. Pain know it's their best chance to take it down. There's a bit of like emotional connection on the line with that. Yeah.
Yep.
Something crazy could happen. Then there was Vitality versus Tyloo. Vitality did win, but I think the real winners of that game was Tyloo, and we'll talk about that
It
later when
was
we
a
talk about Tyloo.
stressful.
And overall winner, I said Vitality. I did say originally Furia, right? And then I just went, no, I'm going to go for Vitality. You stuck with Furia. You got the win. So overall in this one, you got more predictions right than I did. I got one wrong. Oh, no, you got one wrong. I got two wrong. So ding, ding, ding. The winner before the major is Devilwalk on our predictions. But let's get into the games. Let's get into everything we saw here because I'm going to start with our last place teams in here because Mongols right now I'm not gonna say that it's a worrying sign, especially because they're going into the major. Obviously, we know now controllers is playing at the major, right? It's not gonna
Yep.
be Senzu. But I will say that the same way they played in Chengdu, they kept the same idea, the same aggression, the same way of playing, right? But you can feel that when there's not a 9-10 playing well, when Techno's struggling a bit more, and even Blitz, who obviously we always credit as a fragging IGL, when he is struggling and he can't call correctly. Because the thing is with them, is there was ways that they could have beaten Passion if they just didn't do what they always do, which is like forcing into rounds, hero AK buys. Like sometimes it would just be better to save, but they like to keep their foot on the gas, keep rushing forward and dominating. And you could see that it was like their undoing in some ways, especially on the close games of both Inferno and Nuke, where it went 13-11 against Passion. Like, if they just saved and didn't force buy and then back to back force buy, it would have been great.
Yeah, I mean, there's two elements to this. Passions, they obviously been on a grind. They have developed, they have gotten better, they have gotten Quem more kind of integrated into that lineup. But at the same time, I still think there's worrying signs for Mongols. I still think that they don't look as, you know, on point. And obviously, when you bring a new player in, you kind of stagnate. You have to bring him up to speed. You have to, kind of give him a lot of new information. That's one
Yeah.
way, which you probably have to do before the major, anyways. But in the beginning, you kind of probably keeping it light, like just do your thing there. And there might be some disconnect in the mid round if you don't supply him with like an overwhelming amount of information.
Hmm.
So I just think Mongols are, for me, kind of similar to Aurora in the sense that they are heavily reliant on Santaris in Aurora. And right
Yep.
now, I feel like they're too heavily kind of reliant on 910 at the moment for Mongols. Like they
Yep.
don't have that extra superstar that's going to help alleviate a bad game from 910. Everyone else, they're still good players, but they're not at that superstar capacity.
It is a problem for me when like we spoke about Mazzino, if he can play a bit better. Yeah. He had some good games individually.
Yeah,
Controllers was the only one that showed up against Spirit. Um, but it was we saw that 9-10 played better at Chengdu and like,
yeah,
pushed a bit further to do the standards you want to see him at on a consistent basis. But then when they were really struggling, he wasn't there to bail them out. And it was a team fall off and I think a decision-making fall off. And the main thing is that they will now, Mazzilio told us on the loser interview, they will now go to Mongolia for a little while and then come to, because obviously they're in stage 3, right? So they're in a good position. Then they'll come to Europe before and I guess get back on the hardcore practice. But my expectations after Chengdu was actually this team could still make playoffs with big events. After this, a little bit nervous, a little bit worried. I'm not going to say, oh, they're done for. But I feel like playoffs now, when it comes to a super competitive major and controllers having to, like, he's not the problem, but he needs to be ready to fill the void of Senzu if the others are not also going to step up around it. So for me, it's about the other players more than anything.
yeah. I don't think they're done for at all. I just think they have like too few days to kind of integrate everything into the lineup and still progress for a major where everyone else kind of have a advantage in that sense where they have to kind of look backwards, what have been done, what rules have we applied, what triggers, what are the rotations, like all of these kind of things that just needs to be in controller's head, either if it's CT side or T side. They need to kind of package that into him, and
Yep.
everyone else is progressing and adding layers to their play, and I'm not really seeing that Mongols are going to be able to do that in the same capacity the other teams are. So that's why I'm
Yep.
worried for the major. I'm not worried for them as a team heading into 2026.
I'll also say this. I heard some rumblings, but this is nowhere near a confirmed thing. This is no like, oh, someone told me that this is happening. But it can be very likely that if Senzu feels better or something changes, considering he's basically taking some time off, he might come back after the major.
Yeah.
So if he can obviously fix whatever it is he's going through, if he's just exhausted and stuff. Yeah, it sucks to miss the major, but maybe they're thinking better time now. He comes back in. That would be obviously best case scenario, but I will keep listening. I'll keep hearing to what's going on around us because I saw this on some Mongolian sites and some Asian sites. I was on the Bilibis, if you know what that is. It's like Chinese YouTube. So that could be pretty cool. But obviously, he should only come back if he's like fully ready. Don't want to put the team through more coming and going.
Yeah.
But it just makes them a bit less interesting for the major. Next team to come out in last place is Tyloo, and I'm so sad, man. They
They did good.
won. No, they won against Vitality. Like, this is something that would need a devil walkthrough because I did the loser interview afterwards, right? And I was talking to them, and they said against Vitality that, like, oh, we should have played more aggressive. And I was like, no, you probably mean passive, right? Because, like, they basically won Inferno. Yeah, they
Yeah.
won Inferno against Vitality. They had Vitality completely on the ropes. The bomb was down, but then they kept pushing for the kills, and they said it's because they thought the Vitality was saving. So they
Oh,
want to take the
yes, I
weapons.
remember this round. I actually watched this
Bro,
round. One
bro.
guy pushes for CT smoke, right?
Yes.
In a 4v2.
And then he
And
also peeks when they
and
go on the
Sai
bomb.
was it Saivu and Rops left?
I
Something
can't
along
remember.
these
I
lines.
can't remember who
But
was
I
left.
think Saivu was leaving to save and Rops was like kind of staying a little bit, and then they got the kill and was like, let's just go for it.
Yeah.
And everything went wrong. The worst part about that is that why is everyone peaking so early? Why are like you could legit hide
Just
in this
play the
round
time and do
and not
nothing.
do anything.
Yes. Oh, it's and by the way, like even Apex said on the interview afterwards, like they had that like we lost this game. And it's only from Tyloo's mistakes. And just think, it started off, Tyloo lost their pick of overpass, Vitality starting on CT side, 13-2. It is
Yeah.
Vitality. I feel like when a team like Tyloo, like G is a big fan of like star players, right? He loves his Munacy, he likes Zywoo, all this stuff. I feel like when these players go up against this level of team, they're a bit of like fans of them. Because on Overpass, it was only G and Jam Young who played very well. But then on Nuke came out and Vitality, Apex said in the interview to me, oh, we just didn't play it like our way. We thought it'd be too easy. The round started to slip away. And obviously, Tyloo, they're just thinking we don't care anymore. We're playing
Yeah.
against Vitality. We're just going to play it really well. And they did play so good. They actually looked better than what I would say if they've ever looked against a team like that. And then on the
So I have a
Inferno.
question. I have a
Yeah.
question about Overpass, especially. Because one of the things that, especially when you get into that mindset, the teams do, when you're the underdog, you're playing against,
Uh-huh.
the big boys, you looked up to them and everything.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the times, what happens is that people tend to stop playing Counter Strike, stop playing for map control. They group up a lot more and they just go. They
Yeah.
try to either do fast rounds, the rounds are usually over after 25 to 30 seconds. You could usually see that the round is, in advantage to the other team. And then it just spirals and they just continue to try to get this quick round win, which just
Yeah.
never happens. Is that relevant to this overpass? I didn't watch it, but it's very
Mm.
common this happens.
I wouldn't say it was relevant to Overpass. I think it's just Vitality were on bully mode, Like
Okay.
Overpass was a flamesy popping off. I think obviously everyone did well. If you look down stats, everyone's fucking super positive.
Yeah.
But I would just say that like Vitality knew they could do what they wanted, and then they did kind of make Tyloo turtle up a bit. But obviously Tyloo were out on the T side, right, to start off with. So for them, it's like they couldn't even find a way to break in.
Yeah, but it's usually happens on T side. Like people are too scared to even move around the map, or they just group up too early, which just makes like a good team be like, okay,
I'm
this
taking
is
long.
clear.
I'm
I'm just
taking monster
gonna push
control.
forward.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah.
flank
No,
them. I'm gonna do
there
this.
was a lot of that. There was a lot of the flanking and good timings and like coming out connector at the right time. Just
Yeah.
basically Tyloo always being on the back foot the whole time. And then for the Inferno, that's because the last bit I want to touch on this is that Inferno started like 6 CT rounds is not great, right? And
On Inferno, it's pretty good.
you say that's good? We saying it's
I
more
think that's good.
T-sided now?
It's 100% more T-sided than CT-sided.
Really?
Yes, I think
Why?
so.
Why
But
would you say that changed? No, I'm down for this conversation. I just mean, why do you think that changed? Because I feel like the
well,
good CT teams.
I've always thought that Inferno is T-sided. And
Oh
one of the
wow.
key things why is because if CT lose entry, when they are
Mm-hmm.
forced to punish early banana control, if T's have a good kind of way to either get damage or get a quick kill on banana,
Mm-hmm.
um, which why they are forced is because B executes. If you just walk up banana and B executes, you usually win as
Yeah.
T versus the two defenders. So you're kind of forced to that. But then there's this thing you can do, which you can kind of reverse engineer the positions of the CTs if you're on T side. So imagine you're T, you get an entry on banana, you
Yep.
kind of consolidate, you make sure you don't lose an entry or they don't aggress too much. If they play defensive, which is usually what happens on A, they will have one pit player and usually one like jiggling long, right?
Yep.
From that small pit area. If you smoke the small pit area like you would want when you're going short, the CT is forced to go A into sight, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
one player is not enough to defend.
Yep.
So you could essentially take mid, smoke small pit, leave for B. You have a third guy, CT, 2A, and one holding B.
Mm-hmm.
So you know that the second rotation will always come CT on B. You just need to find that one. And doing that 5v2 ish on B, 5-1.5 on B is
Yep.
just super easy to kind of close the round out.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's why I think it's a T-sided map.
I will say that like it felt like Flamesy when he was playing CT side for Vitality. Like it was so they were getting him so many times. He was so easy to take down. There was a lot of success from Tyloo in breaking into B when they got into their T side, and obviously that's
Yeah.
where the game also could have been won. And they let it slip away. That it wasn't a possibility. I'm just gonna look down the round score. So think of how this went. Right, Vitality started off 4-0, then it went to 5-2, and then Tyloo started to find some form. There was G. He had that crazy AWP hold. Oh no, it was against Pistols, but it was like an AWP hold into Tech 9 kills. He was like solo carrying for Tyloo for the majority of that game. And then
Yeah.
like it just slowed down massively. Like, let's look. So let's go. Oh, I'm on Vitality page. There was a point where like he was just up so much. So look, G only ends with 18 kills and 14 deaths, but at one point on his CT side, he was 14 for 4.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was doing everything they needed. He was the hard carry for the CT side. But then on the T side, when the swap over came, that's obviously where he came undone. He was the lowest rated player. It's like maybe being a bit scared to win as well. And then obviously how many rounds they lost in like bad situations. Tyloo obviously even won out the important clutches as well. I would just say for Tyloo, yeah, you'd end up losing in last place, but they should have been in the playoffs. Like this is a fundamental F up, similar to what Falcons did at the major. And I spoke to G. I was talking to him on DMs, and they're going to come to Europe about 9 or 10 days before the major as well. So they're
Well,
going to
that's
come.
good.
They're going to come for a boot camp and practice. He was getting a lot of hate on Chinese social media, which I think is just not correct. He's not the one to blame. And I feel like it's an experience thing. It's a nerves thing. It is Tyloo. Yes, they won Fissure. And now I guess all the Chinese fans think, oh, they should be doing better. But
Yeah.
obviously, we talked about the drop off they had. I don't think it's as bad as other people would say. I feel like if they
I mean,
just
who can
played their
blame them? They're
positions
playing
correctly,
Vitality in a
yeah,
group stage opening match. They push them to the limits. They have control over the game. That's a huge win for
yep,
any Asian team. It doesn't matter. Like even imagine, when Mongols started to cut it close with Vitality. That's
mm-hmm,
huge. It's
mm-hmm,
absolutely massive. And just being this close, I don't care. It's a win in
yeah,
some sense. Like even if you throw it away, you were so close. No one's gonna remember it probably, but at the same time, it should be a boost for the major.
yeah, definitely, definitely. Next team, finishing in 56th place, did make it to the playoffs, was Passion UA. Passion UA, obviously, we spoke a bit already how they beat Mongols.
Yeah.
What was crazy here is that they lost in overtime their pick. Then they win on both Inferno and Nuke. It was, like I said, 13-11, 13-11 on the last two maps. It was where Passion nearly threw some games that they had leads in. It was where Passion couldn't win many pistols. I think they won maybe no pistols off memory. But
I
like,
mean, I can quickly check.
you have a quick look because it was a
They
crazy
won one
situation.
pistol on Inferno,
Okay.
and yeah, that's it.
Yeah, what are they? One pistol they won, right? And yet they told me on an interview that like pistols have been going really well for them. What's interesting here is that they're now playing Mirage. They're now playing Mirage because of Kvem. So we already touched on a Mongols game. The game that impressed me the most was the Falcons game. They basically had one on train and could have won Mirage. Now, I know it's a back to like could have. They didn't win a map, so they still lost 2-0. But if no one saw this game, you can't just look at it and say, oh, Falcons won 2-0. No, this game was like Falcons basically had lost the chance to win train. They were up, where is it, 11? They were up 12-7. And then it was a string of CT rounds where Passion believed they could come back into it, and they almost could. And if you just think one player's salary, let's just take a Munisi or a Nico, is probably the whole of Passion.
Probably,
Like Passion right
probably a
now,
couple of passions.
it's obviously we don't know the actual numbers, but
No.
it's a situation where I would say they deserve some respect for that. The same thing happened on Mirage. Like Passion won 7-5 first half of Mirage, and they looked damn good. Kavem was like he was a nuisance. They could not deal with him. Nix was even playing well. Nix had a head-to-head in fights against Nico, yeah, where he
Yeah.
was like 5-0 against Nico, 7-0 against Nico. Like it was a hard counter, basically. Obviously, Nico overall didn't have a great tournament, so we can talk about that later on. But he had a good game in this series. But both times it was very small details where I felt like Passion could have come back into train and keep that ball rolling, and they definitely could have won Mirage. This is a great sign for them who have had 4 weeks to practice, 4 weeks of non-stop practice, which obviously tier one teams would kill for. And they're
Yeah.
also playing Draculan right now before the major, and they're starting from stage 2 of the major.
It's pretty sweet. But looking at this game, I didn't watch it.
Hmm.
I was too busy. But looking at it, we have Monacy. He has a +5 round swing, 153 rating, 100 ADR as the
Yeah.
author. Was this pretty much Monacy just carrying Falcons over Passions, who maybe played a better brand of Counter Strike in this game?
Yeah, I think that's probably fair to say. Obviously, Nico had a good Mirage.
Mm.
It wasn't a great tournament, like I said, but he had a good Mirage. Kioski was there in some aspects, doing okay. I won't say he was doing badly, but I would just say Munacy was the difference. There was a round they lost. I think it was. I don't know if it was an ace. Let me check. It was a 1v4, maybe a 1v5, or maybe it was an ace into from a 1v4. Wait a sec. Where's this gone? Where's my passion games?
Uh, I mean, Monacy clutched 2 times in this game.
Here we go. Munacy 4 M4A1S kills on the bomb site A defense. Is this the one? Is everyone
Did
dying?
ace on Mirage.
No, no. Because on Mirage did the ace.
Yeah.
Then that was
It
the
was
one. Yeah, the
against a
Mirage. It
weapon
was the
round
Mirage. Yeah, it
from
was the.
mid
And
con.
he was on his own, bro. It was like a 1v4.
Yeah.
And it was just, when you could see him doing it, you just knew he was going to win. And then two players at the end pushed on short towards him, and he just gets both of them. Like it was bad training.
Oh.
Yeah, it was like bad trading, bad playing from Passion. But I mean, if you just closed out one of those rounds, hurts the economy for Falcons. This game's completely different. At least the three mapper.
Yep.
But I would just say this is a very positive sign for Passion going forward.
Oh, 100%. I think it's good that you get. Last time I saw them, Krem was like he could have a map where he was good, but he was kind of pushed into different positions than he was used to, and it wasn't really. He didn't look comfortable, and he didn't really get the space he needed to kind of utilize his talents for. So it's good to see him kind of in that mix with Grim and Nick X. on the top of the scoreboard. All three of them had a great game versus Falcons. That's just good signs overall. I think they're definitely. I'd say Passions look better than they ever did in Complexity.
Yeah.
Maybe they had a one stint when Housework was just a world beater, but they probably look better now.
I'm interested to see, like, now they've got a different map pool they can play with here, right? They can ban their opponent's best map and work off that. How long they can keep this going for? Because obviously, yeah, they had the practice time now, but this Mirage isn't going to be a surprise. I think Pimp said to me that, like, maybe it would have been better if they left that until the major, and so used it as a surprise there. But I think it's good
By the
they had
way,
some official practice on.
you can continue to talk, but there
Mm-hmm.
has been a new major news I will add to the document.
Oh ho!
So you just have to keep in.
All right, I'll keep talking. So next team we need to go over is Spirit. Spirit's coming in there. So Spirit right now, I'm not going to say this is bad. Falcons are their kryptonite. They like the core of Spirit have lost to Muncie and Nico now 9 times. Like they can't win. And I think Kioski definitely wants to make sure he proves the point of like, yeah, I didn't go to you guys for a reason. You know, I get to do what I want here. So both Kioski, Nico, and Muncie dominated. Maybe this is something mentally in Donk's head because he also underperforms against these guys, even when he can pull off some highlight moments. Then they bounce back. They eliminate Mongols. It's a 2-0. Considering, by the way, in Chengdu, it was Mongols that eliminated Spirit. It was just a bit of a reverse here, but it was 2-0, which was the most important thing. And I would say on Dust 2, Spirit just wild dominated. But on Ancient, what it was great to see was that it was Tanir looking good. It was by the
Yeah.
way, this is something that can't be underestimated right now. We spoke about the good vibes that Magix would always bring to Spirit. Tanir, when I spoke to him, at sometimes he was making some jokes about like some Russian music song to Donk, and Donk was smiling even though they were losing rounds, and he looked very frustrated. Like Tanir is trying to cheer Donk up and make him smile and make him laugh a little bit, you know? And
That's great.
that's important. Like, I don't give a fuck what people say if Spirit are playing bad at the moment or not. We were worried about Donk's frustrations coming up higher. And I had 2 interviews where I don't say this about my own interviews many times, but they were bangers that I interviewed Donk and I interviewed Tanir, and I got so much open insight. Like Donk was telling me about the fact that their system isn't working right now, the adjustments are needed. I asked him about him getting more frustrated, and he said like the exact quote was pretty bad. Like it sounds bad because of the word. He said we're a bit delusional
Yeah.
in like how they play. Like, for example, some people will take fights. Like Zway likes to fight sometimes when he can get a one and done and fall back, and then he stays around, and then they just back into a 4v4, you know, or like a disadvantage situation sometimes. And he just needs to learn that. But Tanir right now, this was a great event for him, and this is a good sign for going into the major. And then who'd they get eliminated by? They lost to Vitality. Still took a map from Vitality. Still went overtime. This series felt like a grand final.
Yeah, I
And
mean, I
honestly,
was, if I just roll it back a little bit, Spirit versus Falcons, I had no doubt in my mind Falcons would beat them. I think they
yep.
look probably right now like the results of this tournament in some sense. They look like the second best team in the world. I think that if they would have gone against Vitality, which they did obviously in the playoff, but they would crush them. They would crush well, everyone except Furia. I
Yeah.
think they look so good, and I think yes, Nico might have his ups and downs with his performances, but Falcons just look so much better. They'd have such like a much deeper playbook. You
Mm-hmm.
can see it on them that they are more creative, they're more kind of trigger points and positioning. They've kind of ironed out their whole game, and it looks so much better. And when you have that in combination with a Monacy who just destroys everyone and has that X factor, he can just deliver you around on a silver platter at any point in time. That's a dangerous team. Um, and they kind of look a little bit like Vitality did in the early year.
Yeah, we're still
I
talking about
think the
Spirit right now.
yes, But there's no
Bro's
shame.
got on a full tangent on this.
But there's no shame in losing to Falcons for Spirit. Absolutely
Yeah.
none.
But the problem is, it's not the same spirit I see in every other game. And that's a problem. Because that doesn't just come down to tactics. That's also individuals not shining, like Donk struggling always against them. It can't be this much of a hard counter when it was both in G2 and now Falcons. This
Yeah.
has to be mental, surely. Yeah, because it's completely different leaders. It's a completely different way of playing. Like Manasi and Nico are amazing players, but they are in your head. They are 100% in your head.
I think it's that, but it's also for Spirit. They've been losing and kind of, at least to their aim and goals, consistently for a long period of time now. You could even
Hmm.
look back to the start of this year. They were supposed to be that team that challenged for all the titles in the beginning of the year.
Yep.
Vitality made that roster change, and they've even got surpassed by Mouse and Furia at some point. There's so many teams that kind of gone above them, and they're just sitting there waiting, like, what the fuck? It was supposed to be us this year. And then they make these
Yep.
changes, and they still can't really blend it together to make them a world beater, as we talk about. They're
I
just
have
not ever in that top four spot.
I have to ask you this. Did you see the 1v5 with a Galil from Donk?
I did see that one, yes.
Dude, like, first of all, Vitality should know better than that, but this game was already getting messy and like scrambling. And this was the moment when you realized that, okay, Spirit can win this. This is with a Galil. This is no AK. This was Blast also did this like over behind the shot camera of him. So it's like over his shoulder afterwards in the replay. It was insane to watch, man. It was absolutely insane to watch. This is the point that proves to me that, like, I need to check the stats, double check. Like Zyru 128, yeah, Donk
Yep.
126. But when I think of this game, Donk was more impressive, not just because of that 1v5, but many other situations as well. Like there is not a
I mean,
single highlight I can remember from Zywu except the Mirage, like he did a couple of like crazy. It was in mid. He was lower mid. He also had a Galil, by the way. Maybe the Galil's just become the gun within this game. But there was a crazy like he got 3 kills so fast. But I don't remember many Zywu moments compared to what Donk's doing.
but I don't remember many moments where Donk is actually the last guy alive on Spirits. Usually I just see Chopper
Yep.
or Shiro saving an op or something. Like that's the normal kind
Yeah.
of line. So for him to be the last guy alive, and you know, he can do this at the start of the round, he can definitely do it at the end of it. You can see the clutch, just the knowledge of how he executes this clutch,
Hmm.
knowing exactly where people are going to be coming from. It's just so snappy and looks so clean, looks so freaking easy. You get jealous when you watch it.
And by the way, like this whole time we were talking about it, Spirit just haven't beaten Vitality in this year. In 2025, they haven't beaten them. And obviously, that was when you had the old good Spirit. This was a really close chance of getting it done. And I feel like on Nuke, it was a clawback from Spirit to come back into the game, mainly off the back of that ace as well. But then on Mirage, it was like I almost felt that it should have been Spirit, especially how the last couple of rounds went on their CT side to take it into overtime. I felt like they should have had it. I still think this is a positive sign for Spirit. I do think that under the pressure, when the rounds get further, we saw a bit of a drop off from Tanir. I would say Zway right now is like the first one to get cut still in my mind because if Zontix wants to come back, I'm definitely choosing him over Zway. This is not a hot take. This is just like he would be better because Zway needs to start learning from his mistakes. I mentioned it earlier, but it's like sometimes the over peaking, sometimes just wanting to fight so much. Like he's not like he was in Namiga. He is having to learn some new role, position, a different way to play. But like Hallie and Chopper are now working, and Chopper said this on the interview that this is important data that they can take from this event and review it and then look at what they're going to do for the major. Because I saw Donk the day before we flew out, and he said they got a media day with one of their sponsors still in Hong Kong. Then they fly home, and then it's going to be pure practice. Like they're not taking any break. Maybe just
Yeah.
a few days or something, right? I know like most of the Spirit team went to Disneyland as well in Hong Kong while they were staying there, so they got to actually have some chill time there. But for them, it's a lot of fixing on the system, how they want to use these players because it's not the same anymore. Something has to give, something has to change. And Chopper said something very interesting, Devil. He said that Hallie gave him the freedom to do all the preparation and like decision making on the game for Hong Kong and
Okay.
like give him some more control back. And he said it was very hard. Yeah, he's very tired, but it's like they were just trying something different, you know. So they seem to be experimenting. And I think a lot of people who just don't watch interviews or ignore this may not see like how that is, but that's a big change for Spirit, which can obviously play a factor now for how they want to do things for the major and where they find this balance.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's yeah, like you say, it's a huge change, but I also want to touch a little bit on the Sway conversation. He's always
Hmm.
seemed to me like a player that plays a lot on gut feeling, has had a lot of freedom in that mega team, and that's kind of how he, shines. And now
Yep.
he's in a position where he's drawn back, more passive, more like following the structure, and can't really use his gut feeling. So I think that the settings on his gut feeling is a bit wrong, just because he's been in the system, tried to, incorporate all the rules and new stuff into him, and it just seems like it's a bit of a mess in his mind.
Hmm.
And that's why we don't, because there's no question he's skilled. He has the
Yeah.
ability. It's just not like
Mechanically.
a good fit for Spirit. I think that's more what it is, rather than Sway being,
Yeah.
bad or anything. I definitely
Also,
don't
I
think
don't
that.
think he's the type of player that's going to quickly adapt to that amount of change as well. You know, like it's a whole like I tried to explain this in that Zontix, right, would be anchoring the B bomb site on Anubis, for example. This is just one that sticks in my mind.
Yeah,
And then Donk would come swinging in to rotate and help, yeah? So they would like be passing ships, but Zontix, without basically any communication or knowing like what Donk wanted, would know this flash, set him up, do this, go. But Zwei would stick around for a fight, not fall back, try and win the first fight, and then if he's feeling
yeah.
confident, go for the second one. But obviously, there's a lot of better players than what he was playing against in Amiga. Then he gets slapped. Like it's very different, which I can understand why someone like Donk is getting frustrated because Zontix would be able to just react to things and allow Donk to take the space, take over the game, win this out, and he was a safer pair of hands.
Yeah, I totally agree. I also want to shout out Magix as well.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of him.
Oi, did you see
And
that 1v5 on his Twitter?
yes, that was
Or not 1v5, it
insane
was
with
just
the
it was just an
Deagle.
ace, right? But it was just
Yeah, it
like I
was,
don't know what it was. It
yes.
was
I think it was 5 bullets ace on Nuke Yard on
Oh,
CT
look,
side.
I'm watching it right now. We're gonna play this clip for you guys at this point. It's a random point because Magic is even on the team. One bullet. Two, not reloaded yet either. Three, four. He's an
Just the
actual
one
demon.
through the smoke.
Dude. And then he just starts shouting, "You're bad." By the way, even better that he's covering his mini map with Kioski on steroids picture. I don't know someone who made this, but even Counter-Strike reposted his tweet and it's got 1.1 million views.
It's
It
honestly,
was
it's one of the
insane.
sickest aces I've ever seen. Obviously, it's not like a tournament game or anything like
No,
that,
no,
but
but still.
there's no weight behind it in that sense. But from purely like a mechanical or mechanical and just opportunity esque
Reading
mix
the
in this video,
situation.
it's absolutely disgusting. It's
Yeah.
one of the sickest aces I've seen for sure.
But I don't know, maybe I read this somewhere on like a Telegram channel, but it was something about Magic's not wanting to have them same positions he had on Spirit for another team he goes to. So he's kind of showcasing here that hey, look, I can do what you need me to do, guys. You want to put me somewhere else? I can do it. Don't
I mean,
worry.
I 100% understand him. He had a lot of bitch rolls.
He was the biggest bitch. He
Yes.
was very unlucky. His life was not nice during that time, but he was helping the team massively. And obviously, it's very thankless, right? Because you get community
Yeah.
hate, you get told you're terrible, you get told you're carried by a donk. He memes about it the whole time. So sure, let him go to another team and work his way up if he can by being in a better situation. But he's still young and talented. He's not an old guy. Um, all right, from here, let's go to Payne because we've still got a few more teams to go through, and already we are taking up the times. So Payne,
Yes.
this was a better performance from Payne, but they still only beat Tyloo and Passion here. So this is not a pain that is back on track. And this is also a pain that then lost 2-0, almost had overpass against Furia. But Furia won it back in overtime. I will say that we're still not close to the pain that was there at the Austin Major. We are still looking at this pain who are struggling. It was great to see, obviously, they're continuing on this way of building up Snow to have some more of the star roles, but it's too many times where Snow doesn't show me he is a full star player. NQZ is the star of that team. At moments, it was DGT. Then sometimes Snow would have some pop off moments. He's a great, happy guy. I love doing interviews with him. So positive, but it is also, I guess, what you can say about him is that he sometimes can't take over a game. He can't take control of the game. If they're doing well, he can do it good. Yeah. But he's not, to me, the biggest difference maker in this team finding form or having success. Um, I will still put Payne as like a maybe could go to playoffs for the major, but because of still the performances are kind of middling compared with what we saw in Austin, they're a long way from being where we saw them before.
No, 100%. But at the same time, you gotta respect they go to this tournament is absolutely packed with great teams, and they make top four. I mean,
But they
it's
didn't beat any good teams. I know
yes,
you can
but
only
they
beat
still
who you're
made
up
it.
in front against, but like this is the for me, this is okay. You'll look at this and people might look at this and go, oh, well, they're
I
ahead
get
of
what you're
Spirit.
saying.
They
I get
only
what you're
beat Passion
saying.
and Tyloo, bro. And they took a map of Fury in groups and didn't do it on stage.
100% get what you're saying, but it's still a big confidence boost for them getting top
Yeah.
four. Just looking at the list of the teams, they had, obviously a chance to beat Furia, who managed to kind of dig into that 13-11 win
Hmm.
against them in the group stage. So I still think it's respectful considering like where they were. I looked at them as a team like just a couple of weeks back where they are nowhere near coming to
Yeah.
playoff. And you just said that you could potentially see them going to a playoff, and that's a huge positive.
It's a jump up. It's a jump up from where
Yes.
they were, but it's still not close to the level we had them hyped up to be.
Yeah.
Biggie Zero, when I did the exit interview with him, basically said that they're not going to go to Europe and practice because they've been a month and a half in Europe on the road traveling. You know, they did Chengdu, they did Hong Kong, so that they've been very busy. They're going to go back to Brazil, have some time at home, and then continue practice there. Practice in Brazil is still better than America and still better than Asia, but obviously it's not Europe. Then they'll come a few days before Budapest. They're starting from stage 3, remember? They're starting with the big dogs. There's no warm up ramping up for this. Like, Payne's going to have the hard route going forward. But I'll say this. Last time Big Azera told me he's going back home, he went and did this. I don't know, it's like a ceremonial thing, but he went in, he lives near the sea in Brazil. So he got
Yeah.
in the beach, went in the water, saw his kids, and he said like he felt like he could de-stress. And then he came back and he also had like an amazing major. So just on the mind games of this all, there's some wild world where something positive happens, but maybe some downtime into the major can work out. I just think still, I would, if I'm them, I would personally like a few more days in Europe to be ready and acclimatized to it all. But they are used to this traveling.
Yeah, I mean, I wish them luck. They were a super exciting team to watch, especially in the beginning of the year. It's good to see them kind of slowly progressing back to that form, but long way to go still.
Yep. A very long way. Now, do you know what a sad thing I'll say? The negative of this blast event, no third place decider. I actually came into this in my mind, was like, oh, there'll be a third place decider. But no, for rivals, there's no third place decider. So Vitality also third to fourth. Vitality, like we said, we already touched a lot on this Tyloo game. They should have lost it. They 100% deserve to have lost there. They'll lose to Furia in the next group stage, but they're already in
You know
playoffs.
what, Banks?
Yeah.
I'm gonna interrupt you there. For our predictions in the future, if there is a third to fourth place, should we
Yeah.
predict the third?
Oh, yeah. That's
And we
good
can
fun.
we can predict first, second, and third, and then just switch off
Yeah,
the
leave it like that. It's cool.
yeah.
I like that. I like that. You
Yeah.
got to remember this though. I'm not going to pretend like I'm going to remember this right now.
No, no, no. But we'll do it later.
But I would have liked Rivals have third, fourth place. So
Yeah.
we've already touched on the fact that Vitality still struggle against a Furia. They did win overpass in overtime and handed Furia a loss to it. But on the Inferno at the very end, Fallen just was on another level, man. Fallen was 16 for 9 1.47 rating with a 7% round swing. They won 13-5, and they looked so damn good. They were running circles around the stressed Vitality.
This was on Nuke, yeah?
No, Inferno.
It was
Last map.
Inferno. Okay.
Last map. Nuke was close, but Furia are just better at winning in those clutch moments in the games that get closer. We saw it before when they played the final against Vitality. Then Overpass went into overtime. Vitality won 16-13. It was super exciting game. I'll say that. It actually gave me hope. But then in the Inferno for Vitality, really saw them struggle against Tyloo. There was no way they're beating this Furia on it.
Yeah, I think I've seen Furia play Vitality before, and they seem to always kind of pick Rops off and know his
Dude,
timing.
yes. This was again the same thing happened. Robs didn't do anything. He was
Yeah,
losing every time he wanted to try. They were just aware. They knew. And this is what I'm saying. Fallen knew, and other players on the team knew exactly what was going on. Every time.
yeah, and it's just so hard because it's they can rotate 3 people towards that B site and kind of be outside of it. Vitality is planting, and Molotov is still sitting long, waiting for this Rops guy to show up, and then the retake starts. The same thing with, I think it's Yuri who plays Pit, right?
Yep.
Um, he's just holding apps and short, and like it's like nothing has happened on the map, and they're just sitting there waiting for him, and he never gets the timing right.
I think K Serato was getting him on the. So when Fury on the T side, this is just I'm trying to rack my. There's so many games, but K Serato was just staying, holding, and Rops was walking
Yeah,
into him. Even when Rops is checking every quarter, you know how methodical he is, like everything. K Serato was just okay, waiting, wait, and K Serato would have the whole team on B. Yeah, they're executing, planting, no problems. K Serato is still waiting and just gets Rops.
and it's
It
it's
was
tough
figured out.
because, I mean, from Vitality's perspective, they're probably just gonna group up a little bit more. But obviously, if Furia figure that out, they're gonna leave way too much space. So it's Rops is in this weird middle ground where he obviously wants to help, wants to find
Yeah.
the timing,
Oh,
but
he
it
kept trying.
actually becomes a detriment because Furia knows his stuff.
Exactly. Exactly. Um, but then obviously we touched on the Spirit game already. We just go lastly into this Falcons game. Falcons have obviously never beaten Vitality when it mattered. I say when it mattered because the game they did win was a third
They
place
had a couple
decider.
of tournaments
Oh,
where their playoff jitters has kind of been into Falcons players.
yeah, but like the one game, the one series Falcons won over Vitality was EWC. It was a third place decider. It was when the Zywu was sick as well. If you remember when we covered that.
Ah,
Um, Obviously they say they're sick. I'm just gonna believe it, right? But it's no guarantee. But this time was legit. Inferno, which is actually so Vitality had been struggling on Inferno, but Falcons in general suck even more at this map. Yeah. And it goes to overtime.
there's
Falcons
some
take it over
famous
the line.
clips we walked through on this map.
there is some famous clips. Munacy, we always going to give him credit, but for me, the star of the show was Kixan. Kixan was doing better than Nico consistently. Like Nico was getting his ass handed to him, looked frustrated. Obviously, we'll talk about Falcons later on, but for Falcons, winning Inferno is absolutely huge. And then Nuke was almost like a non-factor. Like Nuke was so confident from Falcons once again. And it was just like whatever happened in this series was a Munacy Kixan masterclass that I didn't expect.
So I just checked the rating of Kicks on the tournament. He was the second best rated player in Falcons throughout the tournament
For the whole tournament.
for the whole tournament.
Wow. Okay, I only had my mind in this game and the
The
finals. I
final,
didn't know it was the whole tournament.
the whole
Damn.
tournament, second best rated player.
Bro, Kixan, his stocks are going up in my books. That's
That's
impressive.
really impressive.
But I'm
Obviously,
also wondering.
smashing the MVP over there.
Yeah, we'll come on to that because Falcons are next. But yeah, this Vitality loss is not a worry because it wasn't just about like Apex was playing bad. It was only Rops and Mezzi also played bad in that game against Falcons. And there's a lot now for Vitality where I'm gonna say this is a game that matters. This is a game that's to get you in the final. It wasn't a third place decider, and you lost it like this. It's a worrying sign going into the major for sure.
Yeah. And
But
it's
and by the
always
way,
so weird to talk about worrying signs with Vitality because the
because
worrying signs
yeah,
about Vitality is not reaching the final or winning the final. They're getting.
exactly.
I still think their worst placing is top 4.
Yep.
I'm not,
Other than Blast Bounty, which they didn't even make it to the groups, if I'm right. I think they got eliminated in groups.
Last Bounty 2 finals. They got 34.
No, Blast Bounty season 1, very beginning of the year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That one,
that's
yes.
after that. It's been constant top 4s minimum. But that's it, right? You are 100% correct that if this was any other team, you'd still be saying this is pretty good. But because
It's
Vitality
ridiculous.
won 7 tournaments in a row, 8 tournaments for the year, best team of the year, it's not even close to anyone else. They won the major. We now hold them to this level that everything else is like terrible.
But isn't it so freaking weird? Like in your brain, you're like, Vitality sucks right now, and it's just like they're still a top 4 team,
Red
like every single
flag.
tournament.
Yeah, this is like this. They suck by their own standards.
Yes,
If I'm doing this, yeah, I'd be like, God damn, I'm pretty good, man. Top 4.
I'm a
I'm taking this.
superstar, baby.
I'm happy, But like, we just have to hold them to a higher standard because of what they did. This is just a fact. Like they were incredible.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the best Falcons has ever been as well.
Yep.
So yeah, no shame in that. Honestly, I did not think Vitality would beat Falcons just because of the eye test of Falcons has just been incredible. Especially in the last couple of tournaments, the group stages, they've played
Mm-hmm.
almost picture perfect. And then
Yeah,
they've
they
kind of
are group
choked
stage
a little bit
merchants.
in the playoffs. But
Yep.
I feel like, they have the backroom staff. They have Sonic. They have, what's his name?
Matt.
Um,
Oh no, not Matt. Who? Lars,
Lars,
performance
exactly.
coach.
So they have Lars, and it feels like they're progressively getting better. They know what the problems are. They've identified them even in interviews, like straight
Yep.
after games. So it was just a matter of time for me where they actually fixed this because they look hungry. I don't think this is like, they're only in Falcons for the money. They want to win tournaments
Of course, is what they're built to
consistently.
do.
Yeah,
Well,
and
let's get into it then. Let's get
yeah.
into the finals. We've already talked a little bit about Furia, a little bit about Falcons in different ways as they've played other teams we discussed in this. But overall, you know it by now. Hong Kong was won by Furia. 4th trophy of the year, 3rd in a row. And this one was crazy because honestly, I was concerned about Furia from the first map. It's their pick. It's Inferno, right? They're not floating ancient. They did it against Vitality. They're not going to do it here against Falcons because it's one of their best maps, right? It doesn't make sense. Falcons remove Overpass, which is a great map for Furia. So we end up with quite a good, what I would expect it to have been a 5-map series of a grand final. And we start off with Inferno, and Inferno was the brightest moment for Nico across this entire series, but it was incredible for Kixan and Munacy. But it will be when you win 13-3. Yeah, you dominate. Furia look a bit shocked, a bit lost. They start on the T side and things were not going well for them. This was I'm not going to call it a masterclass because that's just too cliche. I'm going to call it like an insanely solid performance where you can tell that Falcons have been working on their Inferno, but it also is one of those games where that wasn't the Fury we've seen in any final, even against Na'Vi when they lost the opening 2 maps, right? They're still more competitive than what we saw here. So honestly, if you're a Furia fan at this point, you're probably sending the alarm bells a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, on that note, I think it was a really dominant performance from Falcon against Furia, but there was a couple of clutches that could have kind of swung it in the other direction. Kixan is someone I think he 1v2, 1v3'd or something like that twice. He was absolutely unstoppable on the banana side, which is obviously the focus point for Furia in the beginning of
Yep.
the round. And he had a monstrous game. And I think this, if I'm not wrong, this was his absolute career best map.
I don't know, but I'm going to say probably looking at that.
Because I think, I mean, even on the T side, he was amazing. T
Yeah,
side,
but
he
there's only a
had,
few rounds played, right?
yeah. But either
Like
way, he had a
three,
two
4 rounds.
yeah, 4 rounds, but he had 4.03 rating on those 4 rounds. It's pretty solid. No, but
You're not going to
he
complain
was
about that.
incredible. He saved them multiple rounds, and I think if Kicksam wasn't playing up to that par, this would have been a much even affair. But
Yeah.
he kind of carried them through this on both sides, and yeah, they couldn't get it going. I mean, it was super dominant, and it looked like the finals was going to head in a direction where Falcons finally got their trophy.
And this is it. That was where the narrative for me started to look at this like, okay, we're getting a different Falcons. They got over that hurdle. They're back in a final now. Second final with Kiyosaki, but like this one in front of an arena, it's going to be fine. And then after that, we started to get into a bit more competitive, a bit more like Furia winning Nuke isn't a huge surprise to me because I would say this is the map that Kiyosaki is like the least comfortable on. I'd say this is but this is the one where he had like an crazy performance, you know? So if you look at it from a stat side, you'd go, there is no way that that Falcon should have been struggling in this. We've seen many great performances from them on this, right? Because if I'm right, Nico still plays yard, right? He still gets his position on this map.
Yes.
Yeah, so Nico still got yard. Kioski, what is he playing? He's playing ramp. He gets switched to
Yes.
ramp. Yeah. So Kioski's on ramp. So he's having to handle that, right? That's not something he's used to playing. And yet he's looking handy. He's looking good. I'm not going to put any blame onto Monasi on this. I'm going to say that, look at this. If you go T-side rating for Yakinda, 4.06. He dropped 21 for 3 on the T side. On the T side, Devil of
Yeah,
Nuke.
and
If you've got
some of the
someone doing
kills
that,
was ridiculous. Like it was almost like he nonchalantly ran down secret one round. I think he got a 4 kill, and he just like forgot to clear the corner and then just snapped into him, momentumed his way to kill a guy holding from vent, and just charged forward. And there was another guy stuck in vent, and he just went out, killed Nico with a little bit of trickery around that silo. But he was immense. But I will say, on Falcon's side, like there's no limits to how much you can praise Yukinda for this map.
no.
And I'll
And
give you some context to this because I actually thought that Falcons probably played better even on this nuke. If you look on the first side, obviously Furia, a lot of Fs here, F teams. But Furia, they had they won pistol, they lost force, they won the round after. So they won kind of the force by war. They had 6-1 on CT nuke, and Falcons ended the half on 6-6. That's a great T half.
yeah.
Absolutely great. And a lot of these things, like just when they started to get control on the CT side and get a few rounds flowing, Yekindar was just owning them over and over again to kind of reset their money and get into a dominant position. I think if they could have strung a couple of rounds together and you didn't have this like world class Yekindar, I actually think Falcons played this map really well.
I well, obviously I look at it as I guess a different way of the fact that I spoke to Yakinda afterwards. He said he
Yeah.
was tilted on the overpass game that he played, right? Even though they won it against Payne when it came to the semifinals, and he was like, not like unhappy just because he played bad, but just unhappy with how things were going in the map. And I asked him in the grand finals interview, like, were you tilted so hard on Inferno that you just took that into Nuke and dominated? And like, he himself didn't even know what happened. You know, he was running around, he was getting away with murder, he was popping off. He like, this was insane from him. And it is a bit of a life game at the same time, a 10% round swing as well. But he just was feeling it. And sometimes you just get that, right? But to do
Yeah.
it against Falcons and the individuals they have, that is on its own impressive and also scary of your Falcons. You're like, okay, they woke back up into this, you know?
Yeah. But I'd still say on a macro perspective, if you look like even the rounds that Kinder did well, Falcons were positioned to get the kills. They were just not hitting their shots in the right moments and looked maybe a little bit weak on the individual basis, but the macro stuff looked absolutely great. Kixon
And
again had a good performance
yep.
still, and yeah, I think it's more about the individuals maybe got toned down a little bit on Nuke rather than they played bad. I don't know. Maybe it's me thinking more about the macro game, and that's more important than the individual stuff.
Yeah.
That maybe the you viewers or is looking at a little bit more. Um,
And you know what's crazy as well is that people are going to look at the stats and think, okay, Molodoi 1.38 rating on Inferno, even though they lost, yeah. Then
yeah,
on Nuke, he was 0.65. So I'll just tell you this: Molodoi told me himself. I sat down with him. This is after the win. This is like before we were about to go to bed. The team had all gone away, right? They even
yeah,
had their review of the grand finals afterwards. He'd come back downstairs to get a Coke Zero. He saw me. We were just having a little chat. He sat with me for like, I don't know, maybe 40, 50 minutes before we went to bed. And he was saying on Inferno and Nuke, his game didn't feel the right way. Like he didn't feel himself. Now, if you remember, um, Blast is sponsored by Asus. They have different monitors in there.
yeah.
And then he remembered one of these settings, changed the settings on the monitor, and he started to feel his game a bit better on train. So he didn't feel like he came alive into that final until the third map. Now, he didn't
Is
play
it like
bad.
he played without Diak or
I
whatever
could,
it's called?
well, that's on Zowie. I don't know if that's on Asus, but there is something setting that's
Like a
changed. I don't know.
similar setting, I
Yeah, I
guess.
don't have the Asus monitors to know. I use the Zowie stuff, but like something that he changed, then he came back into it, right? So that like he felt the game was hitting again, and then on train, even though he struggled at the beginning of train, he went back on his BS once again. There was a moment where he got a 1v3. He's playing on the ladder on back red, and he jumps off and just no scopes Munacy as well. And when it got into overtime, he was incredible. And from that point onwards, I knew not only is he a specialist at train, like he loves it, T or CT, it doesn't bother him on train. I knew that he was then going to be fine for the rest of the finals. Like he didn't have some MVP level performance on it, but he came back into the game enough that like he was able to impact it significantly from there. And I will say this for train, like let me just look down how it went on train. So
But
train,
Molodoi was ridiculous in the sense like he would go for these like ludicrous entry attempts. He would jump down lower solo, he pick
yep.
someone con. He would like every round he would be going picking people off e-books close like as they break a smoke, and it was just
And
constant aggression.
And remember, like they had control at the beginning of Train, Furia. They started really well, pistol, follow-up rounds. And then there was a string of rounds where I thought if this continues CT sided, it's going to be a problem. But Furia's CT side was just as good. They go into overtime, and it was the overtime difference. Once we were in overtime, it was like a bit of trading back and forth, but then Furia got 3 T rounds in a row. And even if we credit Kickstand playing really well, you just can't. He can't match against the Fallen, who's able to maybe read the game the right way, change things up. Fallen in overtime, also bringing out the AWP to do the double AWPing. There was a moment where they popped, so they're on T side, they pop out main, and it's like a Yakinda Molodoi double entry. Like they at the same time. So like Molodoi should have been dead. I'm trying to remember the round. I think Molodoi popped out, got the first kill. He should have died. And Yakinda's instantly behind him and just making sure he doesn't get traded. Like the synergy, the teamwork, everything that was there, and then that just hit for them. And that was train was so important.
No, 100%. I think also they're so hard to read Furia. You know, the second force by they do this kind of like pop lower upper push with the
Yep.
flashes that just destroys Falcons anti-eco. And from there they just string a couple of rounds again on CT. And I think if Falcons convert these kinds of rounds, they'll have a completely different game. They'll probably not even end up in an overtime situation. Uh, but it's like you say, it's the creativity, the amount of depth, the amount of different things they actually throw at you as an
Yep.
opponent. They're definitely not scared to kind of nudge the numbers in different directions.
And also, it ended up being the same when we come to Mirage, the last map. Honestly, I thought this final deserved the best of 5. For me, this was the best final we've had since Melbourne, which remember Falcons Vitality. So
Yep.
both top finals of the year have Falcons in it because it's entertaining, it's explosive. The crazy thing here is that it was CT side dominance, right? But it wasn't Munacy being great. It was more he had a good T side, but he had really bad CT side. He was struggling massively. Molodoi was just consistent at both on both. Yakinda was playing really well, and I'm like, if Yuri as well, who is the more supportive element, yeah, is also having a great game and playing solid. I'll say the smartest thing here is that Falcons were never adapting to what Furia did. How many rounds did you see where Furia on the T side just stopped? And they waited for Falcons to take map control. They read them like a book. And then what did Falcons do? Run into it. I was seeing like a double 2-man push apartments from Falcons, and they both died to a Furia player.
Yeah.
Or like one die and then traded, but he's lost some health as well. Like this was Falcons almost, yeah, okay, they want some information and you want to go for the information play, but it was never going their way, you know? And that was that there was so much different on the tactical and the decision making, because Fallen said it in the interview as well when they won, that he can just switch it up. We can go fast, we can go slow. They are so unpredictable, like you said. And it's right now that's putting them a step above everyone else, because there is no weak link. Not even Fallen is a weak link when it comes to Furia.
No. No, they don't have a weak link. I mean, they're all consistent. You can look at Caserato's 1v4 was a huge swing on this Mirage, where he kind of hid in there in Sandwich. I was
Oh
almost
yeah,
sitting
he
here
should have
biting my
died.
teeth like, how the fuck are you losing this round?
How did they not check it? They both. You on about the one where they went both into sight, right? He just
Yeah.
tucked, and then
Yeah.
he just sprayed one into spraying the box and killing the second. Yeah.
Yes. This 1v4 like completely changed the game, I think,
Mhm.
because that's when Furia started to get some momentum on their T side. Because before that, Falcons had a pretty good grasp of what was happening on the T side. They had
Yeah.
good control. They had, I think it was 5-1 on their CT side in total. And then, these kinds of
Yeah, you're right.
rounds massively swing. For Furia's favor, and that's why they got into overtime, why they eventually then started to clinch things. But once again, in overtime, they keep their heads calm. I think I even saw some clips like during the stream. You could hear Fallen kind of talking, and he did this like, "I want us to stay calm. I know it's exciting, but I don't want us to go communication be like."
Yeah.
And there was even the winners interview about it. It still kind of went that way, but it's super important, and I think that's a major reason why they can edge out some of these overtime situation, because 2 overtimes in a row they were probably in a disadvantage moving into at least the later half of the game, even though they
Mhm.
took control. It was a little bit back and forth, but the later it went on, it just felt more and more Furia in every single map.
Yeah. And they were just getting better at reading it. They were not getting frustrated with things, you know. They weren't the team getting tilted. Like I need to talk about, so Mirage was horrendous for Nico, right? But it was also horrendous for Kiyosuke at the same time. But just look at this. Nico is the lowest rated player of the team for the whole final, 0.81 rating. Below Tessus, below Kixan, below Kiyosuke. Yeah. Now look at
Yep.
this. Munacy tried to defend him in the MVP interview, and he said that like, oh, it didn't feel like Nico wasn't like being a factor into why we weren't able to win because of his calling, right? But I know we talk about the voice he has. We know we talk about how he does the CT side calling and what he can help with here. But it's a problem why he would choke in a final despite being the most experienced player there if he's having to do that much extra stuff. It's not worth it when we know how incredible of a player he can be. And I'm not blaming this loss on Nico, no way. But I will say that just a normal performance from Nico would have been good here. You know, you would have been happy with it. It would have maybe been the difference maker in some of them overtime situations. But this kind of a drop off and his frustration, and we obviously we've seen it for years. It's where I start to think either maybe you just need to be the leader, yeah, and he has to IGL, or you stop too much calling on the CT side, because you might have a different viewpoint of it from me. But it's like in China, they told me he has the nickname the Shrimp. Yeah. Because obviously
Shrimp.
the Shrimp is his nickname. By the way, this is what I had to tell some Chinese fans. We would never call him the nickname Shrimp, because like when I was a kid in school, it's like Shrimp Dick, you know, like he's a little dick person would be the Shrimp Dick. That's what they would be saying, at least where I grew up. Yeah. But they're saying it's because he gets like, he curls up like a shrimp in the finals or in matches, you know, like choking.
Oh, Shrimp
Obviously,
is
we would use
choking.
choking. Yeah. Like, well, shrimp's not choking, but it's like he doesn't play to his full potential, you know?
Like he's not showing himself, like
Yeah,
it's body language, I guess. But I mean, you still need someone to call CT sides and organize and all that kind of stuff. But he's always done it. The question for me is like, yes, his T sides, they are they were kind of understandably worse at the point
hmm
in time when they made this switch, when they kind of shifted all of these positions. But his
Yep.
CT size has remained mostly the same. I think there was maybe one map I could see a shift in position, but it was mostly the same.
Okay.
And he has star position. He has positions where he can frag. He has positions where he should be delivering impact. And he is dropping, especially in the playoff games. But now
Yep.
it's even kind of simmering over to some group stage matches. It's even, you can see it on a more widespread kind of area. And
Yep.
that's a worrying sign for me. Um, because I also think, like, also from the like eye test, he doesn't look as confident and clean with his aim as he once was.
Yeah. Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
so I think there's a few things that I don't know makes me. I'm obviously not questioning him as a player or even his
Oh,
position
we
in
know
this
what he can
team.
do. We know what he can do. But it's just that it's such a bad final. And even if Munasy's his friend, Munasy's his teammate, they're in this together, right? He's gonna defend him. I understand it.
Yeah,
But it's like we know the potential of this guy and we know what can be done. And this was so limiting that it's like this is a factor where it did cost them. And this is a
yeah.
problem.
I
Let
mean,
me like let
especially on Mirage.
yeah. Where he's so good normally, I'm just gonna go look at Melbourne and just see how did he do in the Melbourne finals. This is before Kiyosuke came into the team. Also not great in the Melbourne finals. 0.97. It's not bad, but I mean,
Is there any way for HLTV to sort finals only stats?
I've never tried personally. I just go and look for the finals normally.
Okay, I will try.
But it's at least for me, this final just proved to me how good Furia are and how much Fallen has a great read on this game. Obviously, the work Yakinda does is huge as well for the team. Um, Falcons can still see this as a positive that they got over the semi-final hurdle of recent, on stages. Kiyosuke played, I wouldn't say bad, but it was not like it's not what you expect for this person. And also, this is where we also need to stop saying people can no longer say Kiyosuke is the second Donk. Yeah, he's his own player.
Second?
He's a different player. Like second coming of Donk, they will
Oh,
say.
no, no, no.
Yeah,
I forgot
he's
about that. But I understand why people
yeah.
are like hammering it on.
But it's not a conversation. It's not a conversation anymore. Kiyosuke is a great player. He is going to learn and grow as a player. He's still so young. He is very talented, but he is his own style of player. Yeah, and
Yep.
that's what we have to look at. It's not what people are saying at the moment. It's not that he's going to be the next Donk or something like that.
So this is an
Um,
interesting stat line I found on Nico. For example, you know these
mhm.
like slides where you see firepower entering, all that sort
Yep.
of stuff. Last 3 months, he has a 116 rating. If I go to last month, he
hmm
has a 1.04. And this firepower rating has gone to from 81 to 54 this month.
Wow. When you say it like 80 to 50 that's a big drop off.
That's a big drop off.
That's a big drop off. And maybe it's like maybe we don't know what he's
And this
talking
is
about right when
obviously
calling.
only Chengdu and Blast Rivals,
Yep.
but having a 104 rating when you came third place and second place, and you've had group stages to kind of,
Buff you
you
up.
know, yeah, is not a great sign.
For a player of his caliber and his level, definitely. Definitely. But
And
it'll
it
be
is the T
interesting to
side
see because
rating that is way
we
below.
we look at this like chokes at majors, we look at this like struggles he's had in finals in general. This is not a new thing. Yeah. And it
No.
is something where I expect when he has someone like Lars Robbel to help him as the performance coach and all the stuff he's supposedly done so much great work, right? from what other players have said before in the Astralis and Vitality. Like that needs to be fixed. And they spoke a lot, by the way, of dropping the ego, Sonic said in the HLTV interview. Yeah, which I think is
Yep.
great. Playing together more as a team, working off each other, having this confidence, coming with this. And Nico said in interviews with me, coming in with the same energy as he does games, like the same way, like the same level of energy. And these are all very important things that need to happen. And they definitely made an improvement getting through to the grand final again. And it was on a stage because I don't count EPL. It was on the stage. It's not that big of a deal. So overall, yes, this is going to hurt again because it's another chance of getting a trophy and you didn't do it and you did lose 3-1. But it is Furia is their like nemesis because Furia, they haven't beaten. They got beaten at Cologne, they got beaten at Fisher, they got beaten in Chengdu, you know? This is now back to back to back where on games that matter in arenas, on stages, Furia has their number and they're obviously not learning from it. And that means for Falcons, right? Vitality's a problem for you. Furia is a problem for you. And you're probably likely to meet one of them if you go in playoffs and try to make a deep run.
Yeah, their lucky Mongols are kind of out of it right now. 'Cause they
Yeah.
used to be a bit of a problem as well.
So if I'm Falcons, I would try to still see the positive of this and say, okay, it's not the end of the world. We got over our semi-final problem. We can now take some more data from this. They're going to take a break, right? I spoke to Munacy. We were talking on chat, and he said they're going to stay in Hong Kong for a few days, and then he's going to then go back home, rest for a bit, and then it's back to practice, ready for the major. You know, so they're in
But
a
it
good
is a good
position.
time. It's a good time to kind of have this slap in the face. Okay, this
Yeah,
is what we need to work on. Even if you, as an individual like Nico, I'm sure he's gonna be like, "This is unacceptable for me." And look at this. Okay, I'm gonna add extra hours. I'm gonna do the best I can to be ready for the major, which is the most important part. I'll even use like Lade's kind of wording. It is the final test and the final
yeah,
exam of the season, so to speak. So I think it's a good timing for Nico to kind of have a little bit of a downfall where he can push himself up and show that he is the one leading the team again. It's
yeah,
also the right player to have that problem because if he is working extra hard for this major going into it, it's gonna kind of go to all the other players in some. It's gonna spread essentially to everyone else to work harder and harder because they see Nico the legend. He's
yeah.
working as hard as he can.
Um, For Furia, I think we've covered enough on them, right? Furia right now are the favorites for the major. You've won 3 tournaments in a row. Fun to pick, bit of a smaller tournament into Chengdu, now into Blast Rivals. They've been tested by everyone. They've been able to put up the fight against everyone. So zero problems with them
I
being
have
there.
a
This makes the
question for
major
you.
super exciting. Mm-hmm.
I have a question for you. So I would actually say that my list is actually Falcons number 2 to win the
Yep.
major and Vitality third. What do you
Mm-hmm.
think about that?
I second and third, it doesn't really matter so much to me. I looked at it as like Furia, Falcons, Vitality, maybe a Mouse, and a Spirit if everything goes absolutely perfectly well and Donk breaks all records
Yeah.
again. They're my top 5 title contenders. If you want to put me into like a 1, 2, 3, I would probably still give the edge to Vitality to perform better. So I would put Furia, Vitality, Falcons because I just think if that stress is at the highest and it's a major where Nico has choked many times and yeah, like then I would still put the edge to Vitality. But if I'm looking at
That's
who's
fair.
playing a bit better, I would still put Falcons individuals are playing. Like, look at this. Munacy gets an MVP here, 1.42 rating, even though they lost. Another MVP, even though they lost, you know? It
But
sucks right now to
the
be
changes
Munacy.
they've done for him and like elevated him and given himself more freedom, especially on
Yep.
the T sides, has really, really worked. They need to find the same solution for Nico on the T sides. I know there's not like there's a limited amount of space you can take on the T side, voice comms and everything, but he needs to find his moments where he is
Yep.
allowed to do things because he is so vital to that team and especially in terms of like
It's
title progression or whatever you want to call it.
it's so crazy though for Munacy, poor guy, right? That picture is just I would be sad as well. I didn't speak to him after the final. I wanted to leave him alone, but I messaged him the next day. We were just having a chat on messaging, and like he said, it's obviously it sucks and it hurts, and he says it just sucks because we were so close in both those overtime games where
Yeah.
like we could have done it, you know. Um, but that's both his MVPs this year from coming second place. No trophies to his name. And the
Yeah.
times they do have a chance of it, right? It's like it's just rough. And then even Falcons, the only trophy they did win was before Munsey joined, right? And they beat Falcons with Dexter beat Munsey in the final, you know. So it's a lot there. It is tough, but it sets us up so nicely for the major. I think we don't need to talk anything else on Blast Rivals. We did a lot on Blast Rivals for this, so the episode's not going to be short. And here we are.
Yep. So
So let's talk about something very positive, Devilwalk.
yeah.
The announcement's already been out for a few days, but we didn't have a chance to film our podcast. So here you have it for everyone who may only be tuning into this and didn't follow on Instagram and Twitter. All About Counter-Strike is the official podcast of the Budapest Major. I don't think, as far as I remember, this has ever been done. So StarLadder came to us and they said that they were talking to some other podcasts, right? And they were trying to do maybe a late night show. And then I said, okay, what does that mean for us? And they're like, well, would you be interested in doing it? Now, we've never done a live show. It's always pre-recorded. We have our guests on and stuff. We will now be doing 8 shows during the major, starting with one on media day, in between the stages, and stuff during playoffs, where we will have official All About Counter-Strike podcast episodes that's now being renamed just for the major, All About StarLadder Major. We will have guests on. We will have players on. First of all, it's a huge opportunity, and it's very exciting because at some point, our podcast will be in Counter-Strike, you know, and they show the screening game, which is
That's
just wild to think
super
about.
cool.
We still, by the way, because it's a joint collaboration, all the VODs will still be on this channel. It will still go all audio on the way it does. It'll just be live on their streams around the world. But this is phenomenal for us. Now, I'm actually nervous, bro. I can stand on the biggest stages and I can do this other stuff, but this is not like we've done before. We're going to have a full production team from StarLadder running this with assets and everything, which we've never done. That's like HLTV confirmed style, but with we're going to have like a full production team from a tournament organizer. It's wild.
I mean, we were supposed to record this podcast episode last night, but we sat for like 5-6 hours trying to plan stuff out for and we thought we would be done in like an hour or two just discussing it, but no.
Yeah.
It takes way longer time than we ever thought.
Yeah, so now, right, when we do our shows normally, we just have a document, we can talk whatever we want. With a produced show, well, there's assets, there's things we need. Like, we have never done this. Like,
Very step by step.
I'm giving assets sometimes for what I want on a broadcast, but like, it's kind of simple. This is very different when your podcast has never been like this. We've never gone this detail. But for anyone who's a fan of the podcast, we're still going to have the same energy, the same style. We're just going to have more guests, players coming on, coaching staff, you name it. Now, we don't want to do anything that will affect them coming away from the game or their performance. So we're going to be very respectful. But hopefully this is just something brand new that can continue at other majors. Obviously, at other majors, for example, if it was ESL, they'll probably use the talking counter boys, right? That's more their people. But I mean, to be the first ones to do it and it to be us when we just started this podcast at the beginning of the year is wild. We're very thankful for it. And hopefully everyone's going to enjoy it.
Yeah, super excited. Also very, very nervous. I am almost shitting my pants even thinking about it.
It's worse than doing a broadcast, bro, because it's like a broadcast.
It's way worse because it's all on you.
Yeah, and it's us. So let's see what happens, man. It'll be fun. They've given us our own set. We're going to have our own set in the venue. It's going to be awesome. So we'll wait and see how it goes. Wish us luck, but there you go. But I will say, this doesn't change the way we approach things, because the next port, I think, is the fair bit to go to. StarLadder is in some drama at the moment around sponsors and co-streaming. And just because they're giving us a podcast doesn't mean I'm not going to throw them under the bus and say certain things are shit if they are being shit. I'm not interested in being biased towards any TO, even though it benefits me to be really nice to TOs, because then you get hired, you know? I think the best way is we represent Counter-Strike in the community. And right now, there is something I don't like, and I feel like it's really rough. I don't think we've seen the full picture of it because there's news coming out newly every time. But as of right now, Rollbit is a sponsor, which is obviously like crypto, gambling, blah, 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 something else. Okay. We're not going to show any of their logos. We're not going to go anything like that. I don't even want to mention that name of that company anymore. We've mentioned it once. They're sponsoring the major. Obviously, that major sponsor has been approved by Valve or whatever. I assume so. Yeah, that's because it's been announced. It's all there. But people were first saying Starlight is going to be exclusive on Kick. Well, that's not the case. It's going Kick, YouTube, Twitch. And then now the co-streaming stuff's come out, and people are talking about how the fact, let me just look. So Renyan, really good guy. I know him quite well. I've seen him a few times at events. And he says, streamers can't co-stream the same way as they used to, because they basically, because of the sponsor, because of all the rules of it, that they wouldn't be able to stream on Twitch. They would need to stream on Kick. Yeah. Because it's all allowed on Kick. Kick allows everything. Now, what I love about Counter-Strike and with the communities we have is that when you have co-streamers, like look at OniPixel when he came up, look at Olaf now doing after he's retired from playing. Yeah. It gives a different view for people to watch the stream as it is on Twitch and then show it. As of right now, as of the 20th of November at 4:30 here in the Ukraine, the way it looks is that people will have to either stream on Kick if they want the live feed, or because there was also a Deserto post. Deserto came out and said that Justin, Twitch confirmed the Starlight major sponsor does not violate their rules, so co-streaming can be allowed. Yeah, which is really good.
Yeah.
But it does mean that like Starlight, as what is out at the moment, are sending invitations supposedly that demand they do it on Kick. Yeah. Otherwise, you need to do it on CSTV. So you need to go on GoTV. And
I think it was it one streamer that kind of applied for it, and then the
Renyan, then Kick messaged him and said like he can do it there.
Like straight after.
The problem with that is people have their communities already built with thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of followers. So if they go live on another channel, they're not going to be having the same audience. They're not going to have the same reach. People who stream on Twitch just want to stream on Twitch. Now, there is a caveat here for me, is that new rules on Twitch, even me as a Twitch partner, I can stream on YouTube. I can stream on Kick. Now, for me personally, right, YouTube is the best platform because I can rewind everything. If I miss a game, I wake up late, I'm busy, I just roll back the time, don't check HLTV scores, and watch it like I'm watching live.
Yeah.
Twitch and Kick don't have that. Yeah. Kick is not as bad as what it used to be. But I will say people are up in arms about this because obviously everyone is so used to Twitch. I get it. Twitch is the main place everyone goes. But if I'm going to be real, Twitch has gone downhill more and more from certain, I don't know what you call them, but
I mean, they had big
IRL
layoffs.
streamers. No, but I mean like IRL streamers, yeah. The less gaming streamers, a lot of drama, a lot of other stuff, yeah. But some of that's also moved to Kick as well. As far as I'm concerned, what I see on YouTube,
I think they're even running Kick rivals at this point.
So you've got all this stuff. It is right now. If you're Starladder, you can let them co-stream on Twitch. Yeah.
Yes.
If they can let them do it, that's the perfect situation. Because if Twitch are allowing it, and also the main major broadcast is being streamed everywhere, but if they force them onto CSTV, there's obviously going to be a 3-minute or 2-minute delay. Yeah.
Something along those lines.
Then obviously everyone would rather watch the main broadcast.
Might be 180 seconds.
180 seconds. Okay. So the thing I will say, because you can give me your opinion, Devilwalk, and this, I don't care if I get some hate for this, just my opinion. Everyone who watches a Counter-Strike broadcast and gets to co-stream it is lucky to some degree. I'm not devaluing the content an OniPixel, a Flom, a Renyan, an Olaf make, because I watch some of these guys. I watch Olaf. I watch Dimmer. I watch OniPixel. I love Oni, right? It's good, like fun away from a normal broadcast, him being super biased to one team. But all of these guys, they get the content for free and they don't pay anything for it. Yeah? Media rights are such a big thing for different countries, official broadcasts, official language streams. They pay money to a tournament organizer. We can complain to a degree and we can push back and fight against this. But if you're a tournament organizer who wants to make a business decision, yeah, The only tournament organizer that we know of that makes money is PGL. Blast don't make money. ESL don't make money. All these layoffs, all these things we keep hearing over and over again, right? The esports business is no longer propped up by investors and propped up by people just coming in and dropping tons of money and then getting no value back from it. Some sponsors have now gone from the space who will never come back into it. And I'm honestly, someone like Richard Lewis could tell you this in and out from all the stuff he's seen way more than I can. I'm just telling you from the surface level of what I know. So if a tournament organizer just decides there's no co-streams, yeah, and the only way you can do it is by going through GoTV, yes, they're going to be the public enemy number one of the community, but it is a smart business decision for a company. So, like, if I'm the owner of the company and my cost is crazy and I'm not making much money, yeah, you want to lock in as much as that as possible to come onto the official broadcast. I'm not saying it's right because obviously ESL, Blast, PGL all allow co-streams, all let people do it on Twitch without any problem. But this is just something different. But if StarLadder doesn't care about being the enemy of the community, I'm going to tell you, as the major goes on, yes, they might drop in some viewership, but it's not going to hurt the overall thing because people are going to watch it because it's a major. If this was a smaller event, right, and they wanted co-streamers to build up the numbers, cool, that's one thing. But as it stands right now, like I'm just looking because Renya made some other tweets as well. I'm just gonna quote him because I don't want to say this stuff. It says this is completely worthless because it only helps if StarLadder allows streamers to co-stream on Twitch. Since this came out, StarLadder is able to allow people to co-stream on Twitch, but they are still sending out invitations that demand kick exclusivity. I don't know if they're in their rights to do that. I don't know if that's a Valve thing or not. He says, when I was approached by Kick Partnership, the wording was because of Twitch TOS, all co-streams will need to happen exclusively on Twitch. Now that the TOS no longer poses that problem, Kick is no longer a solution. No delay co-stream is still exclusive to Twitch. People are confusing. You won't be banned if you have permission to co-stream. So there you go, right? It's permission. He says people can stream on Twitch and always could, but only using the CSTV method of streaming, which obviously adds the 3-minute delay. I received an invitation to co-stream the event, but it was still Kick exclusive. I asked the StarLadder rep if I could do Twitch instead, now that there is no problem, and I was shown to the Category 1 license-free CSTV stream solution. The major is currently being used as a tool to forcefully move streamers from Twitch to Kick or leave them on Twitch with an inferior product, less production, long delay. If you don't have a problem with this as an end user, good for you. I just don't think it's right. He is correct that it is not right only based on all of what happened before, like the fact that they got given this stuff, yeah? And if I am him, where I get a lot of views from this and creators make money from this, right? Obviously, by the way, this is not creators just get product for free. I know I've spoken a lot here, but creators, creators, yeah, bring in the views that the organizer also gets to say is like, this is viewership. Your logo was seen here, right? They take all the numbers. So it is a equal partnership in beneficial. Yeah. All these numbers get added up. But then also the streamer gets Twitch subs, donations, all these other things, right? They just can't promote any of their own sponsors and stuff like that. So having your content taken away is not great. Yeah. And he wrote here, by the way, I had a problem with PGL forcing gambling ads into banners of co-streamers during Copenhagen, and I have a problem with this. And I get it. But we are privileged, yeah, at the same time that no one is being cut from this content. It sucks that it's going to move it away from Twitch, especially where they built up all of their fan base, their viewers, their followers.
I mean, in the context of, so there was a lot to kind of shoot
Sorry,
right
yeah.
there.
I just had to get it all out to make sure I covered everything, right?
Yes. But in the context of, like, let's say StarLadder, they are making tons of money from this. They are absolutely smashing it. And they go the route where, I don't know, they have a partnership with Kick or something that makes sure that they get extra money in from forcing people to do that direction when they're already making the means they need. I think
Just to
that
be
would be
clear,
way shittier. They don't have a partnership.
But also, there's no partnership with Kick, and also that Valve would not allow that. So I think, from my knowledge, from what I've heard, Valve would say it has to be everywhere. You can't have an exclusive major.
Okay, but they're basically just gaming it a little bit.
Well, not gaming it as such, because now you can co-stream on it, right? You can co-stream on on Twitch by the rules, but StarLadder are forcing it that if you want to do this, you do it on Kick. For me, though, if you're Kick, this doesn't make so much sense because, yeah, you might want the viewership, but you're not going to get the same numbers just because these creators come over because their viewer base isn't there. But there are people in this world who, like for me, I watch Kick. Yeah. I don't actively go to Kick every
But
day, but I
don't you
watch
as
an
a
event on
streamer,
there.
if you have a stream and you have it on Kick and you would
Mhm.
have it on Twitch and compare the numbers you would gain, like just monetary numbers, you
Mhm.
would earn like 5 times more on Kick than you would on Twitch, isn't?
I don't know that, so I can't comment on it. The Kick's whole thing is that you would make more money, right? Because they take
Yeah.
less than what Twitch does if you had the same numbers. But obviously, for anyone who's built a community on Twitch, you're gonna make more money from Twitch, I would assume, because
S-
you already have everything there.
Yes, but because of your viewer base already being there. But for a
Yes.
company that might not be profitable, it makes more sense to at least stabilize your income in some sense rather than going from, because we have to remember StarLadder, they did both their tournaments previously on Kick as well.
Was your online one
Uh
on Kick as well?
yes.
Yeah, okay. So you're online. Obviously, the Star Series was on Kick at the same time. For me, though, because I don't engage with Twitch chat, yeah, and because I'm not donating to a TO. If there is a tournament that's like Fissure when they were on Kick, I just watch the tournament. You know, the only thing that makes me unhappy is when I can't go onto my TV and put it big on the screen because there's a lovely Twitch app that's on my
Yes.
TV. That's the bit that sucks for me. But I am just a hardcore viewer, right? I'm a hardcore Counter-Strike fan. I am watching for the game. But there are many people who are watching for the entertainment from the streamer and the other side of it. So I understand why all these people are unhappy. Yeah. But I also looking at it from the business perspective of StarLadder or any other TO that cool. If you were going to do this, right, and you want to force it this way, then you can do it. You can say right now to everyone, you can only do it on CSTV. But I will say, I
But
hope.
okay, I'm gonna even, this might be wrong. Correct me if I'm
Mhm.
wrong, but hasn't previous majors and stuff been Twitch exclusive, or tournaments in essence been Twitch exclusive for a long period of time?
Tournaments were Twitch exclusive when they were offering out contracts to like your ESLs and your Blast and everyone else. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was in the past. But I don't think a major has ever been exclusive. I could be wrong, but just thinking of this, when it was MLG, right? They were still on Twitch and then they were on the MLG, whatever thing they had to the platform, if you remember back then. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the first major was Twitch, 2013.
Yeah, but did YouTube even have a stream back then? I don't think there was no streaming on YouTube back then.
No,
Yeah, so
probably
that's
not.
that's not exclusivity as you think. That's not a signed deal of exclusivity.
Okay.
Because if you look, since there has been, if I just think of recent majors, every TO has done YouTube and they've done Twitch. PGL has done Kick. I don't think ESL does Kick. Blast doesn't do Kick, right? So you can choose with your majors what you want to do. But Valve is saying that like it cannot be exclusive as of now, what I believe.
Okay.
But I
Makes
don't
sense.
think
I
we
learned.
may have had Twitch may have sponsored some tournaments. They may have even sponsored a major. But now there is open go where there's multiple places you can stream. I don't think that's the case that they do it like that anymore. Because I watch on YouTube all the time as of recent, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially PGL do 4K, which is great. 4K on my big TV downstairs is nice.
I'll be honest. I go to sleep and I watch like Grubby play Warcraft 3 before I go to bed.
See?
And I love watching him, but I fucking hate getting 8 ads in a row with completely different audio level than what you're actually looking at. Just pop into your sound or in ears. I use in ears when I'm sleeping in one ear. Weirdly enough, spoil some private material there, but it is getting worse with all the commercials and everything like that. But
Oh
I
yeah.
agree
Yeah.
that the communities should have a way to not like miss out, like, oh, if I watch with you, I'm gonna miss out on, like, what the fuck are we watching? People are spoiling in chat. It's 4-5 and they're watching
Yeah,
3-1, you know?
that is
Like
the worst thing.
that's the ruining part of it. Like if all people could be nice
Mm-hmm.
and not do that, it wouldn't
Can't
have been
trust
a
people to be
problem.
nice. So I'll say this because I don't want to go too much longer. I did a massive spill, right?
Yeah.
If it was up to me and I am StarLadder, and especially now that Twitch has allowed this certain sponsor to be shown, I would just allow all the co-streamers to be able to do it on Twitch because their numbers are good for you. Yeah. Forcing them to have to do it on Kick to get the good stream or to do CSTV where you get nothing, I don't agree with. I'm not a fan of that. I don't think this is a good idea because I like the fact we have these communities from all the people I've mentioned already, and they are part of the community. They are involved in it all. It is great. Yeah. Even the IRL streaming that Dimmer was doing before as well. And by the way, I even tried to help Dimmer with some contacts and stuff with Starladder at one point on this. So he can back people. He can back me up. If people think I'm just all going for Star Ladder all the way, I'm just saying I understand it from the business sense of what Star Ladder is doing, but I don't agree with it. I don't think it's a smart move. I don't think it's the right move. But they're within their rights. Unless Valve tells them they cannot, they can do it. The same as with the sponsor choices, you know? And this is the world we live in with Counter-Strike in 2025. And the game will still continue. The major will still play. The tournament will still be hype. And that is what it is. It'll just be sad we miss out on that community stream side of things if we do.
Yep.
Hopefully, though, there's still a few more days that this can change. Still a few more days for someone to come in and say things correctly. I'm hoping Starladder will put out a statement or something at some point because at the moment we're just reading all the streamer things. But this is where we're at right now. All right, we're back with the final part. We just finished off discussing all the Starladder co-streaming side of things because we had to give our thoughts on that and maintain on everything that was going on. Obviously, we're expecting things to come up, more updates to happen throughout all of this. But the next one is some recent news, and it's a player that I think Devilwalk we're both a fan of, right? We like what
Huge
we see
fan.
from this guy. I feel like he was doing very well with OG. I didn't agree when he got kicked from OG, but then they got Cadian, so I still don't agree with it because it's like Cadian's not for the long term, you know? Where
Yeah.
at least for Crizzen, he's young, he's 19 years old, he's got a bright future ahead of him. But Heroic taking him and removing LNZ, that is a report right now. It's not confirmed, right?
No,
It's
it's if the transfer would go through, essentially.
it's a report. So if the transfer goes through, then Crizzen will go to Heroic. I will say this is probably an upgrade in terms of over LNZ in firepower.
Yeah.
Calling wise, I can't comment on it. I don't know enough from both players and teams to have an opinion on it. But I do think that obviously Alcaraz is on loan. He's been pretty okay. He's not terrible. But maybe then Prison tries to bring in Nika does, you know, who also got cut because of the Cadian situation.
Could be. I
Might
mean,
be a kicker.
either way, I think even if it's Chrisen and Nikodos or if it's just Chrisen going in, I think it's a good move.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing against LNC. I just think that Chrisen, to me, I liked what they placed. Obviously, there can be a conversation where the coach Lambert had a lot of say in how OG actually, made their game plan, how they approached the game. I like the kind of
Yep.
start stop. They like to, take map control pretty quickly and then kind of wait out and base their decision making on the information that they receive in the round. And I like that. It's a very consistent way to play Counter Strike, and it's not very risk based. Obviously, there's risk in everything, but I just like the approach. It's nice to watch, and it's tough to play against.
I feel like at least with the position of Heroic in, okay, Heroic didn't make the major, which obviously was a huge kick in the teeth for them, right?
Yeah,
That's a huge loss. But the fact that he gets reunited with Tobiz, his coach from NXT, nearly 2 years together they played. That's like, or coached and worked with each other. Also, the fact that Heroic does have a Valve ranking of 14 right now means it sets them up for the future being not too bad. That win over Navi is obviously a huge one in recent times.
yeah.
And this gives them a lot of time before. Well, like, think of this: if you're in Europe, you would happily play against Heroic in practice now during the major, right? That's a pretty good practice team.
Oh, 100%. I think they obviously want to create a system that works for Chrisen. Sure, he's just going to slot in for now, and then they kind of see what they keep and what they remove, and then they kind of branch out the game plan from there with him as in-game leader.
Yep.
I think it's a great practice partner to have. They're definitely on the level, maybe even above some people's level. Um,
Yeah, I think at times I started underrating him. You know, I think that was
Yeah,
that's like something I'll happily say. Like I did underrate heroic at times. This could obviously put them into a good spot.
yeah,
So
and
let's see how it
yeah,
goes.
just good move if it happens.
If it happens, I think this
If it
kind of
happens.
one, especially Sheep's already reported on. I think this is a more than likely one. I'll give this a 70 to 80% chance of happening. They're not ones I
Yeah,
normally see report on stuff that's not happening. So thank you, Sheep Esports, for putting that out there. Another one, which is I don't know, I don't think this is a surprise. It says exist extends NIP contract. It does say 7+ years, yeah, and counting. That's total. He did leave and go to many other teams, Dignitas, Heroic, he hasn't just been on NIP for 7 years. Unless because look at this. HRTV says HRT have reached out to NIP for a comment regarding the contract length and has not yet received a response. So do they mean they just signed him for like 5 years more and it is actually 7 years, and they're adding it like that?
like extend contract for 3 months. Anticlimactic. No, but obviously a good move. I think we've started to see some stability. If we look at NIP's journey, like throughout the year, they started from absolute zero in the VRS when they started this
Yep.
year, and actually have climbed up to a very, very respectable ranking. I'm not sure the ranked 38 on VRS currently, but at one point I'm pretty sure they were around 20.
Did they go up that high?
They peaked VRS 18th.
Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. Currently, they're down the dumps, but they did make the major, so this is going to be a great chance for them to jump back up. But yeah,
No, actually,
I
they
like the
peaked
changes.
17.
17. Okay,
Yeah.
close enough. I do like X Kaspersky coming into the team. I think Wrinkle is an AWPer that can do so much more. I'm just surprised that he's still on NIP. Obviously, I think he signed a longer contract, so he's going to be there for a while. Shush has been stable, and now Snappy's actually had his baby. Like, the thing is, you have to just ignore the PGL Masters Bucharest result because obviously they didn't plan to play with Snappy. So much change, and they kind of got thrown into it, and Snappy did play. So
Yeah.
that hurt them because, like, look, they lost to Heroic, Saw, and Gentlemates. Like, nine
And
times out of
Exist
10, they're
wasn't there
probably
either, right? Because he was also having a baby.
also having his baby. Yes. So it was a double whammy of nightmare. So I'll take them results with a pinch of salt for now. But for Exist, this is good. And for Nip, I think this is good. So happy days all around there.
Yep.
Let's stay with the coach conversation because there's another coaching change in here. Finn steps down as VP coach. Bro, when you look at VP and just the changes they've been through in this year, I'm going to have to bring this up. It's actually horrible. And by the way, it says Finn stepped down. Now, I haven't reached out to Finn to find out if it's like, was him
But
stepping
the
down his
post
choice?
the post on social media from VP was like something that came as a shock to everyone around in the club.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems to be that they are kind of hinting at this was Finn's decision. It wasn't something that VP wanted.
It's
But
crazy
obviously,
because
yeah.
Finn spent
Uh,
201 days on the team, right? Ice, he's still there. Flamus was only on the day 56 days in the team. Oh, no, so 177 days in the team, and then 56 days on the bench. Perfecto's just joined. Torres just joined. Bist has just joined. Like, the way they've gone through coaches is wild.
yeah.
Something's not working. They should have never got rid of Dastan. They went Dastan to Pashanoj to Finn, and now Finn's gone as well, and they need a new coach. Obviously, they didn't make the major. They got some time to find it. But I would say at least they can maybe choose something that Perfecto likes more, someone that Perfecto wants. But for Finn to leave, he either had a better offer or he just saw there was no hope in the team, which is like what a lot of us have been saying around VP in general.
Well, he's definitely not got the team that he signed up for in the beginning.
No.
So you
So much
can.
change. He went, guys, we agreed on this, yeah? But you gave me this. You see the problem here?
So I could, to some extent, understand it, but I have seen improvements from VP. But we all know whenever you put your hope into these guys, it's just, yeah, you're gonna end up to be disappointed for a while. So
Yep,
you have to be very, very careful with VP and hope.
definitely. Definitely. We'll see what happens for him in 2026. From here, though, we can have a look at the fact that Cadian, we spoke about it going to OG. It is official. He said, expect the unexpected. They filmed this cool little video. It's okay. I'm just happy that we get a Cadian back. Um, I do think it changes a lot within OG and like what could be potentially happening here. What does Cadian made a pretty good tweet? Let me just read it out here. So Cadian said himself, he said, the last 2 years of my transition into CS2 has been very difficult. No doubt that circumstances has been tough and there have been many reasons for the lack of success. However, one thing is for sure, I am yet to find my groove in the new game. I still believe I have a lot to give, and my main goal is to be part of a team with aligned vision, great ambitions, and with mutual respect, which, by the way, none of that happened in Team Liquid. With this, I'm hoping to find my old form, the Cadian that you all know. Cool. I would love to see it. I'm a bit sad, by the way, they didn't keep Nikodos as a rifler. We know how good his rifle was. Sometimes he's better with the rifle than the AWP. But obviously, they've got some plans of who else they want. They got a lot of time to prepare and get ready for him. For OG, it's not like a super high ranked team. They're 25th on the, no, 27th on the VRS right now. Oh, no, they're not. They're even further down. Sorry. Their current ranking 37. 37. So they got a lot of working up to do, but they can go to these smaller lands and stuff to try and get their invites. But it's going to be a lot of work they're going to have to do here because Spooky, Arados, Adam B, and then one more we are looking for to finish it off.
It's an interesting one. Obviously, I was a big fan of OG. I think they had, yes, a shit ending of the season. I don't think that you maybe needed to make this change, but obviously it's good to have KDM back in some sort of capacity. I just wish it wasn't maybe in this specific team. Maybe I wanted him in something else.
Yeah, I just think because of the changes we already spoke about, right, with Chris and stuff, what they were building on. But
yeah,
it's obviously if he does get the players buy-in and everyone wants to follow his way, if he's got some young players who are all like super keen going in with him, maybe he can relive a bit of those heroic days of how he had with Yabi and Stown, you know. And everyone believes, everyone goes the Cadian way. I think that's the kind of team he needs for it all.
a great leader though, 100%.
Yeah. And the next bit of news is the least positive one. It's PGL cancel October 2026 event after clash with ESL Pro League. So obviously they also have an event clashing or was like overlapping with the EWC dates, right? I believe it was. So PGL cancel August 26 event after EWC expansion as well. Yeah. So that's a double cancel for 2026. Even though they put their schedule out in March 2024. This is just now. So for 2026, they're going to have Cluj-Napoca, Bucharest, Astana, and then a new event, originally Belgrade, October 22nd to November 2nd, but it hasn't been announced yet. Obviously, CAC they're doing. So they already lost 2 events from this, which is kind of rough. But what I hope this means is that like PGL will still jump up because obviously the problem with fighting against Pro League, because of the stages and how many teams, they were not going to get any good teams turn up. Yeah. So I understand this from PGL, but it's just whack that it's, again, everyone's just taking on PGL, attacking PGL, not letting them get events, right? Where they have one of the best formats, like arguably the best format. And they've been a staple of having good events, teams and stuff like their events as well. It's only the battle between the organizations and the TOs themselves.
Yeah, I mean it's sad. It's we want to be able to pack the events calendar as much as we can, both in terms of getting more tier 2 teams to get tier 1 experience, etc., etc. We don't want to get this point where one tournament has all the teams and the other tournament has maybe one team. Yeah. So I understand the reasoning. EPL is obviously a big tournament, huge amounts of teams. So hard to kind of attract the right people for a big tournament like that.
Yeah, that's the amount of time it goes on, 3 weeks as well, you know. So it is rough. People are not moving around. PGL once again has to just continue doing it. But they are doing one later on in October, so you know.
I like that Astana is still in there.
Yes, going back to Kazakhstan's dope.
Yeah,
that makes me happy. And for the episode that was supposed to be short, that is not very short, we're back again to Q&A. That's the end of it all. So we'll get to our Q&A. There's quite a few questions coming in. Did any more come in? Because I did post in the Discord. So let me have a look while we're here. Ooh. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, yes, we'll take that at the end. We'll take that at the end then. All right, I'll do the ones that we got here. So I'll start with Mr. Skorga, as always, household viewer. What is the one team you are disappointed to not see at the major, or if you feel no team is missing, does this mean VRS is working? Ooh. It's a good question because VP are missing because of their own problems. So I don't think that's anything bad against VRS, right? I felt like Heroic with the year they had. I was expecting them to at least be there. But that just comes down to their own bad results, you know? And
I
obviously
mean,
they
to
even
be
had some
fair, they
events
had a
with
pretty
stand-ins.
rough kind of change with Saw, some Pyres kind of leaving.
Yeah.
It was a
But I
rough
mean,
off season for them.
it was right, yeah. So the down that can kind of be expected. I think come to think of it, is there a single team that's missing that you think is like 100% missing and should be there? I don't think so.
I don't think there's like 100%. I mean, I
No.
wished OG made it, just because I was a big
But that was
fan.
their
I
own
liked how
fault as
they
well.
played. Yeah,
Yeah,
and they screwed it up.
none
They
of
had
this
it.
is
Everyone had it in their hands,
Yep.
except
None of
some
this
that
is a mess
qualified.
up from VRS.
No.
You could argue that, okay, some of the teams that went to these smaller events, but like majority of the teams on the outside of VRS, they were trying to make this work and they were going to these smaller events, right? So they messed up things themselves by being too safe. Even Team Liquid made it at the very end as well, you know, and battles at Birch Cup and stuff like that, playing enough games to have a Legion. So yeah, I think it works, Gorga.
I think it works. I think the only thing that needs some clarity. Excuse me, my throat is a little bit.
You're cooked.
Let's give this a try. The one thing I think needs clarity is kind of the end race. The last couple of months before the invites. What is an efficient land to go to? What is all of this stuff? Ideally, would be in public so that people can make their decisions based on everyone having the same data, so to
Yeah.
speak. So yeah, that's what I hope. But this is the first year of this whole kind of thing, so it's going to be confusing. We already have great people like Mischief who came on the show, who's kind of tried to explain it to us. I've learned a little bit, but I can't say I'm an expert yet. But I
Yeah.
think that we as a community kind of need to study that, understand, and then we're going to understand what tournament is going to be our new RMR or minor in some
Yeah.
sense. Because this year was a little bit confusing with a lot of different tournaments
Especially that
impacting
last weeks or
heavily.
2 weeks. It was
Yeah.
just wild.
So I think
All right.
everything else is kind of great, but yeah.
Next question. Mars says, do you feel in order to work as a talent, having experience playing at a high level, FPL or ESE main advanced is necessary? Well, I don't have FPL ESE advanced, but I've played for a very long time to a high level in 1.6, but never a pro or semi-pro.
I don't
I
think
guess
it's
it
necessary.
depends. Yeah, I know some people who work as like analysts and they've never even got close to say like a level 10 face it. Like, but they have a brain for the game, the economy, the decisions, the strategy. They're good with tools, you know. I know that's an analyst, not like a coach or a talent. But I feel like some can also be very entertaining. Some people don't have to
Yeah,
have high
and I
level if
mean,
they're
some are
entertaining.
great at the storyline aspects and kind of
Mm-hmm.
delivering you kind of through the emotions of their story throughout a year. They come to this point, etc., etc. And that kind of thing is usually probably more important than the analytical stuff. I think you need to have maybe a blend on a desk
Yeah.
where one can drive the story, like kind of like, color caster and the main kind of hype guy, play by
Yep.
play. I think a desk should be kind of oriented with different kind of people with different expertises in that sense as well.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. All right. You want to read out the next question?
Ooh, what is his name?
Change it.
Shangite.
I just say change it because if you take away just say change it.
Change it. Do you think Spirit will stop laughing? What do you mean? It's his fault. Do you think Spirit will make changes if they don't get good results at Hong Kong and Budapest? Uh, so,
Oh, bro, I'm actually crying.
Shingite,
Stop saying the name like that.
I
Oh,
don't think
oh.
it's because of these lands they will make changes. I think the major is going to be super important for them. I think there could potentially be changes at the end of the year. I don't see them being in a final, but they could prove me wrong. But they just don't look like they're really ready. It looks like their system right now is a bit too messy. Every player, if there was one player that didn't really suit the system, but I feel like there's multiple players on different maps that
Mm-hmm.
don't really align with everything that's happening or how they want to approach things. So therefore, I actually either they stick it through, they made these changes, they make sure they have a system that works with these players, or they stick to the system and change players at the end of the year.
Yeah. I feel like right now where we're at with Spirit is already Hong Kong. They've already said publicly. I heard it from Chopper. I heard it from Halley as well. For them, it doesn't matter what results they got in Hong Kong, but Budapest obviously is important to have the system right. I think by the end of Budapest, we'll know maybe as well if Zontix can come back, and I feel like Zwei is the biggest one who could be on the chopping block if they don't do something good. But a
Yeah.
good result for them in current form is just making playoffs. I said if they have a really good overperformance, they could probably make final. They still have Donk, remember, but it's not as like given that they can have a good deep run. They've got too many teams like a Falcons or like a Vitality who they struggle against. Obviously, Falcons they struggle against more than Vitality, as we saw from Hong Kong.
Yeah.
All right. Next one is, do you want to say this name? You want to try this? This is an easier one.
Zappo.
There we go. Zappel was said correctly. What's he saying?
What's he saying?
Read out the question, bro.
Okay.
Not just
I
the
thought,
name.
I thought you were just asking for the name, man.
I did too. No, you can do too. Come on.
True. My voice is fucked though. If Furia makes it to the final at Budapest, will they win yet another best of 5? I mean, the
Oof.
stats is definitely in their favor.
And especially like best of 5 seemed to be Fallen's perfect thing, What was
I
the
would say
stat?
yes.
He'd only lost one best of 5 final. He's played a hell of a lot of them.
Yeah, there's something
He's
like
a
15 or 16. I think it's 15-1 now.
king of best of 5s.
Yeah. So
This
yes, I'll
proves
say yes.
the older you get, it doesn't matter. You can still get it done. He's not slowing down. It's damn impressive. So if you're at the final, will they win yet another best of 5? I think it all depends on the day. There's a different level of pressure in a major final than it is in any of the other finals they faced. They are on a tear. They are playing really well, but there's no such thing as a guaranteed win. But they would obviously be heavily favorite if they were in the grand final. Doesn't matter if it's a Falcons, a Vitality, Mouse, whoever.
So I'll read
All
his
right.
name.
Oh,
Ronson.
what?
It's a 1.
Yeah, Risen. One is I.
I know, I'm trolling
Oh
you.
my god. Bro, I can't take you seriously no more. Okay. Do you think will Falcons go out in the groups of Budapest? Bro, if they go out the groups of Budapest
No.
and that's back-to-back majors, that's not just a red flag, that's a sinking ship. That's a
I
down
don't
in the
think so.
dumps. That can't happen, man.
It
That
is the most
can't
pressured.
happen.
Like playing a Swiss system at a major is fucking horrendously like it's the worst feeling. If you go
Yeah.
out of groups, they'll be Gucci. Like they'll have the best mentality ever in a playoff, I think, that they ever had.
Yep.
But the groups, so much pressure. Anything can happen in these kinds of stages. But I'll be very, very surprised.
Yeah. I don't think so. All right, there's some more questions that came in through Discord. This is to you, Devilwalk.
Yep.
Devilwalk, how was it like getting the invite to be an analyst at the major? Did it surprise you? And who do you guys think will have the great underdog dark horse run at this major? It's from Risen again.
Okay, so I was extremely surprised. I knew I would be getting an online cup to start with for Star Ladder. I had no idea I was even under consideration for the major at that point. Um, I did that one, got invited to the next stage, and like doing the online desk for the LAN event in Budapest. And after that, it was just they started to tell me I'm on a short list, etc. And then it was just a waiting game. I didn't think that I would get it, but they were obviously happy with what I did, and I was excited. I was like shocked. I even called the banks when it happened, and
Yeah.
yeah, we had a little bro moment.
And obviously, all the fans just think you're only there because you're my Nepo child or Nepo baby, whatever
Yeah,
they call you. Yeah. So obviously, I just masterminded all this. It's all me. I am the
of
puppet
course.
master of all this. I wish that was the case, but it's not. I don't even get hired for that many events myself. So yeah, there you go. And the last part of his question was, who do you guys think will have a great underdog dark horse run this major? Well, there's always one of them. So it's a good question.
So let me actually put up
I'm
stage.
going to say an easy one. I'm going to say a real easy one. Maybe it doesn't count as but like legacy, because they play way above their stage 1 level,
Yeah.
and I would expect them to do well. But obviously, that would be a long run to go from stage 1 deep into the major somewhere, and maybe like a liquid can come through and surprise a bit. They'd be my two choices.
Okay. I think legacy is a very good one, and it's so hard to pick someone from stage 2. I'll say Navi. I'll and but what do you mean by dark horse? Okay, dark horse. I'll say semifinal. Is that enough?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's more than enough. Just making playoffs, for example, could be a dark horse. Just doing well, right?
Yeah, but if I say Navi and they just make playoff, that's like kind of where they're
Well,
they probably should be.
there should be, but recent
They're
form.
not there. Yeah, yeah. Okay, I'll
Yeah,
say those two. It's kind of boring answers to be honest, but
yeah. You went for the easier ones, man. I went for the wilder ones. All right, what else we got here?
Wilder.
Legacy and Liquid, they're both not exactly expected to go far. Oh, Finn's got a great question. This is Mischief. He says, biggest overperforming team this major cycle. Overperforming team. Oh,
FlyQuest.
it's such a. Huh? Or to be 32nd in the rankings.
I'll say FlyQuest.
Really?
Yes.
Why FlyQuest?
I think they're gonna make it through the first stage, first of all. And I think with the time they had with Azar, already looked really sharp and good. So I think that this might be a team that a lot of people are overlooking.
Okay.
That's why I'm gonna say FlyQuest.
See, I was going to say in this major cycle overperforming was Astralis for being able to even hold on to rank. Like, what are they? Just look, Astralis are.
Astralis start in stage 2 as well. If they're
Yeah.
gonna overperform, isn't that
No,
like
no. That's
making
not
it
what
to
he
next stage?
means. Well, that's not how I read it. Biggest overperforming team this major cycle. So, like, they overperformed from expectations.
Ah, so like the whole season.
Yeah. Like, up until this major. And I
Okay,
would just
okay.
say that, like, for me, I thought Astralis would end up like 15th, 16th in the world at best. And they're still holding a 12th rank right now. Even
Okay.
with all they've gone through, losing Stown, Hooksy coming in. Like, from where they were at Astana, they jumped them up. And then it's just been a decline.
I think the two answers from me is Legacy and 3D Max.
You think Legacy overperformed?
Yeah, this season for sure.
Okay.
I think they came into last major. I think a lot of people thought, okay, I'm not really sure what we got here. They obviously played really, really well, but you want to see consistency. They dropped down massively after the major. And then just a few months back started to come back into it. And now they're looking better than ever.
Okay. Okay. Next question from Arkles. Looking back on this and previous season, what was your personal highlight of the year so far? Favorite event, standout player, best storyline leading up to the major, could be anything. My personal highlight is, like for many others, the Molodoi signing and the surprisingly fast but convincing recent success, especially after winning events back to back. I'd say standout player is Molodoi. I agree with you there. Like, he is the rookie of the year. He is the truth. He is also as a person, because I got to spend a little bit of time with him in Astana and at other events, just the way he talks with me off camera. I spent, like I said, like nearly 45 minutes to an hour with him at the end of Hong Kong, just me, him, and a couple of guys from ESP Tiger. And he's just a real cool guy, man. And his story that I plan to tell at some point is really unique. It's really interesting. His English is improving as well. So definitely that's a favorite. Favorite event? Favorite events between Hong Kong and Astana. I'll probably give the edge just to Hong Kong because I think it was a bigger arena. Even though it was 360 when it came to PGL, I just think Hong Kong was awesome. And best storyline leading up to the major. Ooh, Vitality's redemption arc. You know, such an amazing start of the year. Then the drop off of only winning ESL Pro League, not winning big trophies, and if they could win the trophy again, would be crazy. If Fallen can win a major after when was the last one he won? 2016.
Good question.
Fallen's is either 2016 or 17. I always forget. Achievements major, 2 majors, 1. 2016 Cologne. Yeah, it was Columbus and Cologne. So last one was 2016. It would be 9 years later he lifts another major trophy.
Okay, I will say, for me, best like standout personal highlight. I think having an Asian team ranked number 1 at one point is crazy to me. It's something that I probably never expected would happen in the next 5 to 10 years. And for me, seeing 9-10 kind of develop into what I consider a top 5 opera in the world has been great. In terms of favorite event, what was the event where we got the crazy Falcons final but wasn't Melbourne?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. Melbourne, where they almost won but didn't win.
Yes. I'd probably say Melbourne. I didn't watch the whole of Hong Kong, so it would be weird for me to say Hong Kong then.
Yeah.
And I also think Fallen winning the major is probably the biggest one because it's also. I would argue that Molodoi and Jakinder might be the best 2 transfers of all time if that happens.
Sick. Well, we've done it. We got to the end. All questions have been answered from the Discord and on our document. We obviously just take all the questions from Discord, but we were missing some off there. Some more came in while we were doing the episode. This was a very strange episode 33, guys, but me and Devilwalk have a lot on our plates, a lot going on. Me with electricity outages here in Ukraine, plus having to deal with meetings and other stuff. We are 2 days away from traveling to the major. And then we will have another episode for you on the 23rd, but it'll be live. We will have a live chat. We'll be checking in on everything. We've never done it before, so we're ready for it. It's going to be a lot of fun, man.
I'll make sure I'm healthy and can speak properly by then.
Yes, or else.
You saw this, right, guys?
Everyone saw this. Or else. That is a threat. A straight threat. Not pulling any punches. You better be well. You better be good.
Yeah.
Do you want to say goodbye to everyone this time? I won't steal
goodbye.
all your flow.
Hope to, meet some of you guys. I met some cool guys in the Swedish event, the Swedish Cup, came up to me, said, like your podcast, love what you're doing with Banks. And that stuff really helps you out. It makes you feel good. So yeah, it does. It makes you feel
really
great, man.
Helps you out. It's like, thanks for saying my podcast looks nice. It helps me out in my dark times.
It does. You know how dark it gets over here in Umeå? I need those comments.
Yeah, you need the light in your darkness of life
Yeah.
that you have. Don't worry, we'll take you to a normal city for a while with a major, mate. You get to have some fun again. You get to be let loose and let free into the
Hope you
world.
enjoy, and we'll see you in Budapest if you're there. Otherwise,
Unlucky. We'll see you live on the show. Oh, also, don't forget, like, subscribe, comment, follow us on TikTok. Boom, boom, boom. See you soon.